Enjoy the rest of your night of footy on Grandstand AFL.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It's a true Saturday night blockbuster at the MCG as Melbourne hosts Carlton in the biggest game of the AFL's penultimate round in the 2022 home and away season. The Blues can secure a first finals appearance since 2013 with a win, while a Melbourne victory will see them move into the top two, at least temporarily. Melbourne's had the wood over Carlton of late, winning the past 6 between these two teams. There is a late change for the Blues. Adam Chera is out of their selected side with an adductor injury, so no Kennedy, no Hewitt, no Chera in that Carlton midfield. Will Setterfield into the team. Paddy Dow is the sub. More from downstairs shortly with Lauren Borden. My name's Joel Peterson. Great to have your company here at the MCG. It's been a wild weather day in Melbourne. We had beautiful sunshine this morning. It was T-shirt and shorts kind of weather. Then the thunder and the lightning rolled in. There was hail across the city. It stayed dry at the MCG, but it's a chilly evening. And there's plenty of fans from both teams in here this evening to witness what should be a terrific game in prospect, on paper at least. Jess Webster's alongside me to call it for you on ABC Radio and Grandstand AFL. G'day, Jess.
G'day, Joel. Awesome to be here. We're going to have a really great night at the footy, I think. We're going to get a good crowd and everything is on the line for Carlton. They are depleted tonight, which will make things very tough. But with their season on the line, we're going to see what they're made of.
Absolutely. And of course, Derby 55 tonight over in the West. We'll keep you updated with all things Fremantle and West Coast this evening. The winners earlier today, the Bulldogs. Well, the Giants could have made life easier for Carlton, but the Bulldogs squeaked home by 5 points. Adelaide by 29 over North Melbourne, and a big win to Geelong in the game most of you are joining us from a little bit earlier as well. Our experts are in place on Grandstand AFL. Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke. G'day, Burkie.
Hello, Joel. Jess, lovely to be here. It's an interesting game, this one. A lot riding on it for both teams, really. We talk about Carlton, a lot riding on it for them, but either second or sixth potentially for the Demons.
And they really need to start firing a few shots, the D's, after that narrow loss to Collingwood last week and a triple premiership player with the Brisbane Lions. Chris Johnson is here as well. Hello, Jono.
G'day, Joel. G'day, Jess. G'day, Berkey. Good to be here. MCG football on a Saturday night. Where would you rather be? I tell you, it's been a while since, we've been able to come here on a Saturday night and see two good teams that are sitting up in that top 8 battle it out. So really looking forward to this. Obviously, the D's are really trying to sharpen their skills or hone their skills in walking into finals.
What are you expecting tonight, gents?
Carlton, for me, they're no good, and I mean they're no good if they don't bring the heat and the pressure and the tackling. And I expect them to actually really harass the Demons. But when they have the footy, you can't go slow against Melbourne. Every single team that I've seen be scared of Lever and these guys and go slow, it just plays into Melbourne's hands. Eventually they win it back and then they go whoosh. So I want to see Carlton. They've got to be physical, but they've got to take the game on. They've got to take the ball through the middle. They've got to get the ball quickly inside forward 50, give Curnow and these guys as many opportunities as they can. So really, I want to see Carlton be brave tonight, and that's the only way that they're going to play finals.
Yeah, I'm really interested, Berkey, to see how their forwards go, Carlton's forwards go against the Melbourne backs, because what we know of Lever and May, and obviously we've got Mackay and Big Curnow there as well. So I think it's time for these boys, if they play finals and if they're able to get over tonight and get over the Demons' backs, they deserve to play finals. And there's no other bigger stage here than play against the reigning premiers and two of the guys that were probably the two best backs that you have seen in the competition linking up together. Now we've seen two key forwards linking up so well, so I'm interested to see how that part of the ground plays out tonight.
Intriguing matchups all over the field. Let's go downstairs and soak up the atmosphere. A very good evening. Pulling double duty today is Lauren Borden. G'day, Loz.
Good evening, Joel. It's nice to be at the MCG tonight after the rain's all past. Didn't see any of that at Docklands with the roof closed today. Pretty nice conditions out here. It's a little cool and fresh, but not freezing at all for tonight's blockbuster. Bit of a shame that Carlton's banner didn't match that. Just the 3 words on it: up the baggers. So maybe after Paddy Cripps' expensive tribunal case this week, they didn't have enough money in budget for the banner. So Cripps couldn't win the toss though. It was Max gone, and Melbourne will be kicking to the punt road end.
It is an old-fashioned blockbuster. It's Melbourne and Carlton. Saturday night footy on Grandstand AFL. Here's Jess Webster.
Jackson rises high against Pinnet in the ruck, wins it down, and then his handball looking for Brayshaw is picked off by Sard. High up and under kick towards half forward. Sitting underneath it is Hunt. Couldn't complete the mark. Lever has a go. He can't go with it. Now Walsh for Carlton. His hand pass picked off by Hunt, who gives it to Lever, to Viney, to Oliver and Langdon, all by hand from right half forward. Low spearing kick down the wing is intercepted by Setterfield.
Delayed inclusion for Carlton, replacing the injured Adam Chera. Setterfield's right foot kick to the pocket. Mackay. The path opened up for Harry, charging out from full forward. He marks 45 out, 45-degree angle left of centre.
Well, the path was just open for Mackay to come there. We've seen Hibberd as well as Langdon just looked at each other thinking, oh, are you going to go? No, are you going to go? And then Harry came through it and it was a bit too late, and Stephen May was not happy around his small defenders then.
He hasn't been in great form, Big Harry. 4 goals in his past 4 weeks, and that kick does not start things off well. Off the side of the boot, out of bounds on the full. Just about sums up his recent form, unfortunately, for the big Carlton spearhead.
Salem with the free kick for the D's. Kicks towards half back. Gawn goes to ground. Out the back, Young for Carlton can't keep it in, and we've got to throw in 70 metres around from the Blues goal at left half forward.
I thought I saw a big forward with an ordinary kicking for goal technique last night. That one matched it.
So no score through the opening 90 seconds of Saturday night footy at the MCG. Ball back into play. Pinnet wins it down, although it's sharked by Brayshaw. Wobbles a kick down the wing. Gawn collects. His hand pass misses its target. Setterfield high up and under kick towards half forward. Going back to the flight of the ball, Salem takes a nice mark at right half back.
Interesting that Max Gawn is starting forward and Luke Jackson starting in the ruck. It's traditionally you'd probably expect them to be the other way.
Maybe they're planning for something, Berkey, in the future.
Maybe.
Long kick up the line from Salem. There was Gawn. He was the target there. Brought it down to Petrarca. Quickly exchanges a hand pass with Brayshaw. Now out to Pickett at right half forward. Shane Warne stands side. Big crowd in at the MCG on a Saturday night. Pickett backs back behind the mark. Sends it inside the 50. Melksham gets upstairs and pulls it in. Jake Melksham will have the first set shot for the Demons tonight from 40 out.
Well, it was just good work by Fritsch as well. Fritsch there, he had someone coming that was going to come across and just float across, and he was able just to get across and give a bit of a nudge forward. And, geez, Melksham, he's actually turned the wheel a little bit now and actually doing a lot of team stuff that we haven't normally seen him do, but he's been good for the Demons over the last sort of month or so.
He's had an indifferent season. 6 goals, 7. For Jake Melksham coming into this evening, strikes it with the right boot. He's tugged it left. Gawn goes up on the behind line. It's off hands and out of play. It'll be thrown in left forward pocket. Demons kicking to the punt road end to start us off. No score through 3 minutes.
So Gawn against Pitternet. Umpire chucks the ball back into play. Chance for Melbourne in attack. Gawn with the tap down. Brayshaw collects. Oh, here's hand pass, misses Neil Bullen coming through Salem. Got the handball out, but straight to Doherty of Carlton. His high kick out to the wing. Oh, big collision between Mackay and Martin. As the ball spills to ground, and players dive on. And we've got a ball up 70 metres out from Melbourne's goal at left half forward.
Umpires in yellow this evening. Carlton in the all-white with the white monogram on the front. Melbourne in the navy shorts. with the traditional Navy home strip as Jackson knocks it down to Brayshaw. Neither can keep it in. Brayshaw and Pittenay exchange some pleasantries, and Viney goes in to support his teammates. So too does Oliver. Some physical stuff out here on the wing.
They love a good bump, Melbourne, don't they? One player just gets a bit angry and they all come running.
Hopefully they execute it better than the number 9 in Carlton colours, the bump. Berkey, that didn't prove so successful over the last week or so. Brayshaw sends it forward for the Dons. At toward the 50, through the hands of Stocker. Young's out the back, hesitated, and now Petrarca's closing in on Sard. He weaves one way, hooks it around his body, still inside the 50 for Melbourne. Oliver whips it around on the right boot, sends it high to fall forward. Melksham comes out, contorts his body, can't take the mark. Doherty slams it high into the night sky. Jordan tracks it in flight through his hands, but the D's have got the numbers as Brayshaw handballs back looking for Jordan. Can't keep it in. Boundary line wins out and a throw-in left forward pocket. Melbourne 60 out from goal.
Well, it looks like Will Setterfield is being set for Clayton Oliver. He seems to be following him around from the first first stoppage we had. He's going to him at every boundary throw-in as well.
So it tense footy to start this contest at the G. It's Doherty. Just tumbles a kick down the wing. It's picked off by Hunt of Melbourne, who hand passes to Brayshaw. From the interchange gates, a short chip finds Salem. Just forward of the wing. Just forced to hold up play momentarily. Now winds up and sends a long kick towards the pocket. Gorn will present. Got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Walsh hesitated, got caught, holding the ball.
Big tackle, wasn't it, Berkey?
That was 50-50 each way, whether it was a dangerous tackle. It was definitely holding the ball, but the angle that he was dumped into the ground there, 50-50 either way.
So Viney with the tackle, he'll line up for a set shot, 48 metres out from goal, 10 metres in from the boundary.
As you can expect, Viney's not going to just lower someone gently to the ground. He did drive him in, unusual angle.
So just sets this one up to the pocket. It's not a great kick in the end, and Marchbank takes the uncontested mark in the back pocket for the Blues.
That 9-iron from Jack Viney looked a bit like one of mine, just sliced to nowhere near where it was intended. Marchbank sends it outside the defensive 50. Cripps is the target. Two hands to it. Can't pull it in. And now a chance for Owies across half-back for the Blues. Centre of the ground, Martin. Bounced off a couple. Sends it forward for Carlton. Great mark. Hibbard under fire. Couple of Blues converging upon him. Takes it in the centre of the ground. Onto the left peg. Sends it out to half-forward. Petrarca. Strong mark overhead. He's got Fritsch who wanted it in the pocket. Sends it to the left forward pocket instead, and Melksham's on the end of another. This time tied up against the boundary line.
They're not scared to go wide here, Melbourne.
He wheels around and kicks the first of the night. Jake Melksham's been busy early, and the home fans have got an early one to cheer about. D's on the board, one straight. The Blues yet to score, 7 minutes gone opening term.
As I was talking before Melksham just opened that face so he could snap it around, was I think Melbourne, what they like to do, they like to attack through the left side of the ground, and we see it so many times where they just put the ball into the left forward pocket deep and allow their players to actually work their defenders under the ball or sit them back and then try and lead into the ball. But that was just great work. They came out wide to Petrarca, and then without any hesitation, Petrarca got within 50, and he could have launched, and we've seen him launch goals from there, but he just pulled the kick a little bit, and Melksham, for his second mark of the quarter, inside forward 50, used his body quite well.
Angus Brayshaw up to 7 disposals already through 8 minutes, and make it 8. He wins the clearance for the D's. A 1-2 with Sparrow. Kicks up towards half forward. Brown with the lead. He brought it to ground. Fritsch, he was stripped of it. Ball spills out to Walsh. Hand pass out wide to Marchbank. And then he kicks short and finds Cottrell at left half back. Swings it in. Ball. That's a good kick to Doherty inside the centre square. He chips short to Nunes, had a bit of a fumble. Pittenay tried to fend off Oliver, caught, holding the ball. Free kick Melbourne.
Don't handball to Ruckman.
Golden rule, Berkey.
1,000 times.
Golden rule, and Oliver's away. Sends it inside the 50. Brown or Gorn, the ladder. Takes the mark, uncontested, 40 out, directly in front as Lewis Young appeals vociferously to the umpire that he was shepherded out of the contest.
He's having a fair old whinge with the arms flapping at the umpire. The umpire's...
The descent rules gone out
about that one.
Out the window long ago, Berkey.
That would have been 100 metres early in the season.
Might have just given him the goal and taken it back to the middle.
We talk about Clayton Oliver, how good he is with the ball, but that tackle against a ruckman that's twice his size to be able to get that ball turned over, then re-entry to his forward 50.
Slow approach from Max Gawn. Set shot on the way out to the left. Minor score. D's doing all the scoring through 9 minutes. They're 1-1. The Blues haven't troubled the scorers as yet.
McGovern brings it in. That's a long ball and finds Cripps on the point edge of the square. And the Demons fans let him know what they thought of his tribunal result during the week. Flares it out wide to O'Brien, who marks it right half back.
Inside 50, 6-1 at the moment. Carlton just cannot get the ball down their end.
And O'Brien elects to kick backwards to McGovern in the back 50 and then switches play to the outer side and finds Marchbank. Goes on a bit of a run. Long kick towards half forward. Has Cottrell in a 2-on-1. The ball spills to ground. Langdon collects for the D's. His hand pass is picked off by Owies, but he has a fumble. The ball goes over the boundary line for a throw-in. 70 metres around from the Blues goal at left half forward. It is the Demons leading 7-0 through 10 minutes of the opening term.
If they keep entering their forward line like that, Carlton, they're going to get dominated through that back half. They've got to lower the eyes and hit up that player coming at the kicker.
Umpire flings it back into play. Fisher's pushed off his kick. Oliver takes it away. Sharp handball with Salem. Back to Oliver. The Spargo back to Oliver, who dashes down the outer side wing. Sends it inside the 50. Fritsch gets upstairs. Marchbank a hand to it. Ball on the deck for McGovern. Got down low. Shot the handball out to Nunes for the Blues, who now kicks to the AFL logo outer side. Leading up at it was Cripps. He was pushed off the ball. Taken by Walsh. Handball out wide, kick up toward Curnow, brought it down for Fisher. The handball returned back to Charlie Curnow. Petty might have had a handful of the jumper as he got the kick away. Spilled back to Fisher at half forward for the Blues. Sends it inside the arc. Mackay was up, couldn't take it with him. May left it behind. Left forward pocket for Carlton at the city end. Out toward the boundary line. Rivers keen to see it across. Free kick and advantage going to the D's as Rivers blasted up the southern wing.
Looking for Ben Brown, fisted away from him. Walsh had one arm caught, managed to get free and then sends a long kick into the pocket. Fisted down to ground level. Sparrow there doing the work for the D's. Just wobbles the kick outside the defensive arc. It goes past Brayshaw, picked up by Walsh. Left foot snap around the corner, off hands. Motlop to Doherty. His kick, though, couldn't find Curnow, and Petty takes the intercepting mark for the D's in the right back pocket.
Boy, that was scrappy. It wasn't one decent kick out of about 10. Well done, Jess. Trying to call that mess.
Well, that's the difference between Carlton. We've seen the Demons go forward with unpressured kicks, Berkey. No pressure on the ball carrier, where we've seen Carlton enter, what have they entered now? 4 times, and they've all been pressured forward entries. And all credit to the Melbourne Footy Club at the moment.
Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts on Grandstand AFL. John Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you as Lewis Young floats in from the back. Being impressive in defence for the Blues this season. Back to Wiedering at top of the defensive 50. 12 minutes gone, opening term. Melbourne by 7 points. Petrarca's encroached on the mark, so Wiedering will jog straight up the centre of the MCG, take route 1A toward half forward. Good paddock that he's been given by the umpire there. Only handball to Sard, who wasn't ready for it. Oh, it's not going Carlton's way at the moment. Sard goes for a gallop, sends it inside the 50, straight to Gawn, brought it down. Owie spins through the traffic in the forward pocket, can't get a clean handball away. May's in there, diving over the pack, laying the tackle, holding it up. Ball up, 15 metres out from the Carlton goal.
Carlton just not quite on the same page as each other at the moment.
Oliver Rose, although his hand pass is intercepted by Walsh, who's brought immediately to ground and holding the ball. Insufficient intent ruled the umpire, and Stephen May will take the free kick for Melbourne on the last line of defence.
That's a terrible decision.
Well, quick to make that decision as May blasted outside the defensive 50. Fisted away from May. McGovern, his hand pass to Fisher. He gives it to Silvani, 40 metres out. His kick around the corner, though, is killed over the boundary line for a throw-in, 20 metres around from Carlton's goal in the left forward pocket. They trail by 7. through 13 and a half minutes of this first term.
They've got no time or space, Carlton, to deliver the ball. They're pretty good when they're in the wide part of the ground through the middle, but once it starts to come in narrow, they're just losing their time and space at the moment.
Mackay against Gawn in ruck. Gawn front spot decisively down to Petrarca, who wobbles it out toward half-back. Brown wrestles with Young, and then McGovern late on top of the pack, and a free kick's going to go to the big blue in the bright orange boots, Mitch McGovern. He's got Nunes in the centre of the ground, thought about it for a moment, then spears the kick inside the 50 through the hands of Salem. Hibbard was waiting for it out the back. Cripps took it off hands to Doherty, to Silvani, 48 metres out, left foot kick, round the body. Mackay almost pulled it in, and then it rolls parallel with the behind line and out of play. Harry had 9/10 of it, couldn't quite execute. And the ball will be tossed back in right forward pocket. Carlton still haven't scored. They trail by 7 through 14 and a half.
It's 7 inside 50s and have not scored yet.
It's not pretty football, but the heat is certainly on in this opening term. Ball back into play. Walsh has a go. Now Cripps. It spills to Lever. Tackled by Cripps. Umpire says, give it to me. Ball up 20 metres out from Carlton's goal.
Well, the times they've gone forward, Max Gawn's sitting right in the middle of the hole. They've got to identify who his opponent is and use him.
Gawn slaps it down. Walsh pursues. Hand passes to O'Brien from hugged up against the boundary line. Pitches to the top of the square. Fists it over the line from May for a behind. Carlton's first score of the evening. One behind. They trail Melbourne 1-1-7. 15 played opening term.
And it's that player's responsibility. Get in a dangerous position so you can pull Max Gawn out of that spot where Carlton want to go, because at the moment I don't know who actually is going to him at the minute. It just looks a bunch of sea of players down there in Carlton's forward line.
Stephen May's going to him with the kick in as well. John Big Max Gawn. He was the target there, got a hand to it, brought it down. Neil Bullen lays on top of it on the front edge of the square. Petrarca tries to extract it. Neil Bullen eventually does. Bangs a kick forward. At left half forward, it'll sit for Fritsch, who paddles it out in front of himself. Wiedering the other way. Fritsch met him. Wiedering got the kick away. Out toward O'Brien, who wrestles with Jordan. Did he take him high? Yes. Free kick going to the young D out of Yarrawonga. Left half forward.
Poor tackles. No need to go high then.
So James Jordan loads up to full forward. Couple of Blues bring it down. Walsh the crumbing. Oliver's intercepted his handball. Flicked it on looking for Salem. Neil Bullen goes in. He's dragged down by Setterfield. Might not have had it. And then O'Brien has a go. He's dragged down by Fritsch inside the defensive 50 for the Blues. Big bump from Nunes. Got rid of Viney. Gave him a bit of his own medicine. And the clearing kick up toward Curnow, who's wrapped up by Gawn, thrown to the turf. D's take possession again. Salem to Viney. Viney on the left boot inside the 50. Brown with a run at it. Young used the body well and picks it off for Carlton inside the back 50.
Oh, chip short to Saar. Not 15. Play on. Spargo brings him to ground and forces a stoppage.
Should have been a 50-metre penalty to Young against Melbourne, but they called play on for some reason. It may have been touched.
So ball up 40 metres out from Melbourne's goal. Tracking it is Silvani. And he couldn't gain possession in the end. And ball goes over the boundary line. 60 metres around from Melbourne's goal at left half forward.
Well, the Carlton player went to handball the ball and Petrarca came from the side to cut it off. So he decided, I'm not going to handball it. The umpire's called play on. It should have been 50.
0437 774 774 the text line. Love to hear your thoughts throughout the course of the evening as Jackson takes it out of the ruck for the D's. So much speculation about that young man's future. And links with a move west. His high kick to centre half forward was taken by Cottrell, who flares it out to Marchbank. His kick down the line turned over and Hunt intercepts for Melbourne. He can cut an aggressive kick up the corridor to Viney. Viney from right on halfway sends it inside the 50. Brown had a run, brought it down to the front of the pack. Cottrell's there for the Blues. Spargo straight in there with a tackle. And a ball up 45 metres out. Melbourne kick to the punt road end to open us up. It's still 1-1, playing one behind, 18 minutes into the first.
Brown just gets rid of Silvani. Viney in there. Stripped of it by Nunes. Contest at the top of the 50. And the ball isn't going anywhere.
Marchbank needs to be better with that play of Carlton coming out, and the Motlop was the target. He actually kicked it on Motlop's head, and Motlop had about 30 metres to his right. Kicked it to space. Motlop's quick. He'll use his speed to get there.
Brown slaps it down, but it's picked up by Silvani, who tumbles a kick down the wing. Durden in the centre square. Hand passes to Motlop. Just got boot to ball. It tumbles down the corridor, picked off by Jordan, who gives it to Petty. Under pressure, hand passes backwards to Jordan, who gives it to Hunt from centre half back, flares it out wide to Sparrow, who's marked on the logo members side wing. Wants to move it forward, his kick out wide, looking for Neil Bullen, but good defensive work by Saad to kill the contest. And it's a ball in, just forward of the wing on the members side. Let's get down to Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Ball's just in front of Simon Goodwin, who we know always operates on the boundary line and coaches from there. Michael Voss has joined him tonight, so he's down there. It's Luke Power next to him, though, with the paper and pen taking notes while he watches intently.
Would have had a good few on-field battles, Goodwin and Voss, playing in the midfields for Adelaide and Brisbane, respectively. As Cripps comes away, you can hear the pantomime boos from the crowd as he shoots it down the line to Motlop. Lofts it over the top by foot to Setterfield. Setterfield looks inside the 50, goes in the direction of Martin. Terrific juggling mark just inside the boundary line. We know he's got some tricks, Jack Martin, and this would take something from well and truly up the sleeve.
All comes back to Cripps' pass to Motlop. I spoke about it before with Marchbank. Puts it in front of him. Motlop has got that turn of speed where he can actually get to the ball really quickly, and that there just got the flow of Carlton running through on a chain.
Another interrupted season for Jack Martin. 9 goals, 9 from his 10 games. From a step inside the boundary line, lets it go and grazes the right-hand goalpost as it goes between the big sticks. So another minor score for Carlton. 5 points the D's lead into time on in this opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Stephen May to bring the ball back in for Melbourne. Looking for a top 4 finish, the reigning premier. Blast it long down the corridor. The umpire's plucked out a free kick in amongst a pack. And it is going Melbourne's way to Jackson. He's quick to hand pass to Brayshaw. His short kick finds Pickett in front of the interchange gates. Chips it further afield to half forward, looking for Viney. A couple of Blues come in and send it over the boundary line as Wiedering looks a bit sore behind play. Throw in 50 metres around from Melbourne's goal at left half forward. They lead by 5 points.
He went down quickly, Wiedering, and he's on all fours on the ground.
Did he cop a boot where you...
I think he might have. That's
maybe don't want to cop a boot. I think potentially Jacob Wiedering still down on the ground at the junction of the 50 in the boundary. Meanwhile, Setterfield kicks out wide. Jim Martin with another acrobatic effort. Couldn't pull that one in. Turns tackler on Hunt, who kicks an absolute rainmaker about 12 metres. It was knocked down to O'Brien. Handball to Fisher. He ran into a couple of Ds. Ball came out somehow. Then Salem brought Martin down. And we'll have a ball up in between the wing and half forward for the Blues, who kicked to the city end in this opening term. No major as yet for Carlton. 2 behinds. The Demons 1-1-7. Their goal coming at the 7-minute mark of the opening term.
Walsh from the stoppage just kicks a high one towards half forward. Silvani got fingertips to it, but no mark. Over the line for a boundary throw in 55 around from the Blues goal. Wiedering back to his feet behind play, which is good news for Carlton fans. Throw in half forward for Carlton. So we tick towards quarter time. And bursting away from the stoppage is Jackson. His short chip forward finds Gawn. Takes a good contested grab over Marchbank. From centre wing, Max Gawn loads up. Looking for Brown, but coming across the front is Jackson.
That was just disgraceful by Pittner. He was in the ruck contest here on half forward, and Jackson just streamed forward. Pittner couldn't go with him at all. They've got to work on that ruck rotation for that gentleman, because he's not up to going with either Gawn or Jackson at the moment.
Jackson's marked 48 metres out from goal, 45-degree angle to the left. He's kicked 10 goals so far this season. Play game number 50 next week. This for Melbourne's second of the evening from 50 metres out, and he's put that one for a minor score. So Melbourne move to 1-2-8. They lead Carlton 2 behinds through 23 minutes of the opening term.
Hasn't really reached great heights at the moment. I think both teams are a little bit nervous, a little bit just feeling each other out. Melbourne is certainly having the better of the play, but Carlton look very nervous.
Melbourne's first score in 15 minutes of action. That behind from Luke Jackson. Long kick in for the Blues. Durden takes it off the pack, trying to handball to Cripps, who quickly found himself betwixt and between Sparrow and Petrarca. Durden has to dive back on top of it. have a ball up. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Grandstand AFL, Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Setterfield's kick straight out toward the boundary line will be paid deliberate.
Should have been 50 as well, because Salem grabbed the ball and then threw it away as he's walking on the bench.
It was a sparrow kick, Setterfield in the tackle, so free kick taken by O'Brien, and now it's blasted up the line by the Blues, and that will be paid deliberate as well against Charlie Curnow.
We might as well just play last touch. Yeah, really. That's what we're getting to at the moment. Play last touch outside the arcs.
So Petty takes the free kick for Melbourne in front of the members, who are making their voice felt at the moment. Sends it up the line through the hands of Brown, taken by Melksham off the pack, and now Jordan blasted out of bounds. There is no dispute about that one. That was out of bounds on the full. And from where he took a kick a moment ago, Lockie O'Brien will have it again for the Blues, who trail by 6, 24 gone opening turn.
He's looking inboard. I don't think he wants to kick down the line, but does just that. A 2-on-2 contest. Goes over the head of Pitternet. Cripps lays a tackle, forces a stoppage. 80 metres out from goal at right half forward for the Blues. Gone against Pitternet. Sharked by Jordan, who gives it to Petrarca. Jordan gets it back. Oh, a short kick looking for Brayshaw. He slipped at the crucial moment. Doherty picks up for the Blues. His kick partially smothered. Spills into the lap of Owies. He gets a short kick forward, not 15 to Cripps, who's tackled, just gets boot to ball. That kick's also not 15. Pitches just inside forward 50. Silvani collects. Gives it to Durden, who tries to bust through 3 demons. Umpire still calling play on. Rivers collects with the D's. Now Brayshaw has to get rid of it quickly. Doesn't do it. And is caught holding the ball.
Well done there by Mackay there. Just anticipated what was going to happen, that Brayshaw was going to be the next link, and just got on his bike straight away as soon as that handball. And May was actually calling for it backwards, so maybe they needed to go backwards. But well done here by Mackay.
So Harry Mackay, this will lift the Blues fans. Curls it around the corner to get their first of the evening. And scores are level at the MCG, 1-8 apiece, 25 gone in the first term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson.
With the way Carlton are moving the ball, it was always going to be something unconventional that was going to get them a goal, and that just happened to be a good rundown tackle there from Mackay, and a really good finish on his left foot around the corner. But I can't see Carlton just having those training run goals where they zip the ball from one end to the other, untouched, get plays out space, Curnow comes running out and they hit him on the chest. It's just not that style of game, Joel.
It's a good old-fashioned slog. It's got a certain intensity about it. It doesn't have the class of a final.
No.
It's got the intent. It's got just about the stakes on it this evening as well. Back in the middle. Gawn controls it down, but Cripps takes it away. Setterfield blasts it inside the 50. Curnow takes it off hands. Durden's there. Jams a kick through the traffic. Oh, he's a chance. Almost dispossessed Lever. Just got the handball away to Hunt, who skies it outside the defensive 50, but Pitternet stands under it. He'll bounce it back in for the Blues.
Sends it into the pocket looking for Silvani. He was held. Free kick to Silvani in the left forward pocket, 40 metres out.
Couldn't agree more with you, Berkey. It's going to be a scrap fest for these forward line for Carlton. They're not going to get it the way they like it, or the way they traditionally had it in the last sort of half of the season. They're going to have to scrap as much as they can, and they're going to have to draw the odd free kick like it just has happened now.
So Petty stands the mark, 5 metres in from the boundary. Jack Silvani will have to thread this one from the pocket. Lets it fly. Doesn't have the accuracy across the face for a minor, but Carlton have hit the lead. 1-3-9 to Melbourne. 1-2-8 on the quarter time siren. Certainly wasn't high scoring, but we've got the intensity we knew we were after. Your goal kickers at quarter time, one each to Jake Melksham for Melbourne and Harry Mackay for the Blues.
Well, the D's had the better of the early exchanges, and Carlton in the end clawed their way back. They had 4 of the last 5 scores of the quarter. Melbourne led by 7 points at the 9-minute mark after the behind to Max Gawn, and Carlton, with the goal to Mackay, as Jess Webster said, put them level And the set shot from Jack Silvani on the quarter-time siren put the Blues ahead by a point. It's been an absolute arm wrestle here at the MCG. Both sides that know that there's plenty at stake as far as their seasons are concerned. Carlton by a point after one in the Derby. It is the Dockers 1-4 leading West Coast one straight. And, of course, Fremantle's fortunes play in both to Melbourne and Carlton's eventual ladder position as well, depending on the results of tonight. One in the books here at the MCG. It's been an almighty tussle thus far. It's Carlton 1-3 leading the Demons 1-2. It's unfolding on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sends it out to half forward. Petrarca. Strong mark overhead. He's got Fritsch who wanted it in the pocket. Sends it to the left forward pocket instead, and Melcham's on the end of another. This time tied up against the boundary line. He wheels around and kicks the first of the night.
Harry Mackay, this will lift the Blues fans. Curls it around the corner to get their first of the evening.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Like a couple of boxers backing each other into a corner, just trading blow for blow in that opening term. There was nothing decisive about it from either Carlton or Melbourne, but there were plenty of punches thrown, maybe not so many landed. 1-3-9 the Blues, 1-2-8 the D's at quarter time. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary in the Derby. The Eagles have hit the front again. 2 straight 12 to the Dockers, 1-4-10. We'll keep you across Derby 55. Caleb Sarong has a goal. Zach Langdon and Hugh Dixon with goals for the Eagles. Earlier today, Geelong defeated the Gold Coast Suns by 60 points for win number 12 on the season to cement top spot on the table. Adelaide by 29 over North Melbourne, and the Western Bulldogs by 5 over the GWS Giants. Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke. It was a struggle in that opening term. Maybe not what we expected coming in.
No, it had the finals type intensity with either team handling the finals type intensity. You look at Carlton, they're going at 45% kicking efficiency. Kicked the ball 58 times compared to Melbourne's 47, but going at 45%. Walsh, who's had 11, is at 0% kicking efficiency, and Doherty's had 7 the next, and he's at 17. So pretty much they've had one effective kick between the two of them, and really not handling the pressure well at all. I just get the sense that when this game settles and it sort of opens out a little bit and everyone sort of takes a breath, I just get the sense that Melbourne are potentially the better placed to take advantage of that space and run than what the Blues are at the moment, Jono.
Yeah, look, I think Michael Voss coming into this quarter-time break, he'd be reasonably happy on the fact that Melbourne haven't been allowed to do what they normally do. They were allowed to do it probably for the first 5 minutes, Berkey, being able to get run and carry entry of forwards, having a few marks in their forward line, moving it in pretty quickly. But I think then on from about the 7 or 8 minute mark of this first quarter, Carlton were able, and we spoke about it, that their goal's going to come from really, really hard work, and they just scrapped. They scrapped at every contest. They chipped it away, got it up to their forward line, kept it in there for a while, got a couple of repeat entries after they didn't get any for a long time. But I reckon Vossi would walk away, and they would walk away being happy to be within or actually be in front by 1 point. And then it just comes back to the forward entries and how both teams are going to work this out. And Melbourne looked like they were going to dominate that area for a little bit of that first quarter, but then Carlton came back. So it's a game at the moment of just a scrap. I think it's an old-fashioned scrap, even though conditions are perfect here for listeners around the country. But conditions are good. It's a bit cold, a little bit dewy, but we're going to get an old-fashioned scrap here tonight, I think.
if you win tonight, you're going to have to earn it, that's for sure. Harry Mackay, we spoke about the battle about the Carlton forwards versus the Melbourne defenders, Jono. He ended up on the first kick of the game, kicked it out of bounds on the full. But the fact that his goal came from a tackle at least shows the willingness to get up to the contest and that work rate that maybe Carlton fans have been critical that he hasn't displayed.
Well, Berkey said it in the pre-game. Carlton going to have to bring the heat. And what they did, they brought the heat inside their forward 50. The little men around, Durden and Motlop. And it was the big guy who got the reward. Even I really liked Berkey a couple of times there in a real one-on-one scenario was Jack Martin. He went up for the mark and he just competed, brought it to the ground, lost his feet, got back up and done another tackle. He'd done it on a few occasions. So I think what they've got, their mentality inside the forward line at the moment is just try and scrap as much as they can. Give a contest in the air. When it's at ground level, make sure you get after the body.
At the other end, Brown and Fritsch haven't had a disposal between the two of them. The Demons to key posts. So both teams feeling each other out in the opening stages. Carlton go into quarter time by a point, underway in this second term, and straight away it's dragged into a contest. Sam Walsh amid it all as it's tossed aloft once more. Gawn reaches around with the left hand, palms it down. We'll get a free kick as well. Quickly outlet hand pass to the wraparound of Viney, who slipped over at the critical moment. Handball's back to Gawn behind the centre circles. Now out to Salem. And somehow they've worked their way through the traffic, Melbourne. Jaden Hunt blasts it inside the 50. Ben Brown goes upstairs, but Young knocks it away. Sards inside the defensive 50 for Carlton. Handball on the bounce to McGovern. He and Cozzy Pickett go pirouetting toward the boundary line. Eventually McGovern got his kick outside the defensive 50. Oliver left it behind. Motlop almost picked it up and then hacked it off the deck. Gained 50 metres for the Blues. But straight to Stephen May, who intercepts defensive side of the wing on the Shane Warne stand side.
Yeah, if they got past him, Harry Mackay was about 20 metres on his own. Could have run into an open goal inside forward 50. So that's where they've just got to get better, Carlton.
May kicks long down the line. It's fisted away from Ben Brown again. And Oliver lays a tackle on Cottrell to force a stoppage. Between wing and half forward, Melbourne in attack. Langdon, kick around the corner. Pitches in front of Young, although he's tapped it straight to Neil Bullen, who hand passes to Ben Brown inside 50. Gives it off to Petrarca. His kick's partially smothered. Bounces in front of Fisher. Now Wiedering has a go. He's tackled by Pickett. Oh no, Pickett goes in again. Gets through to ball on the goal line. Cottrell saves the day. Although I think we might have a score review.
It's pretty obvious he tapped it over the line. We could see that here without having to be that close. It was quite obvious. It'll be a rush behind.
And because he didn't appeal for, hey, I kicked that, he just picked the ball up and handed it back to the Carlton player.
Oh, okay, so he's thinking that because his foot has actually gotten there before, he's actually rushed the ball behind.
No, touch, kick it in.
So behind is confirmed. Great desperation by Cottrell on the last line of defence. Means scores are again level here at the MCG. 1-3 apiece, 2.5 gone second term.
Paying big dollars in the arc, Jono and Berkey. Send your invoices in. You got there far quicker than they did with 90 million screens. Adam Saad to kick in for the Blues. Game 150 last week. Chips it short to Lewis Young. Been a revelation in defence for Carlton this season. Kicks up the line. Curnow gets a hand to it, knocks it out toward the boundary line. It'll be thrown back in. Over at the interchange race that the Carlton women's team ran up in their earlier match of this doubleheader. The Demons getting the chocolates by 70 points. Big day of AFLW practice matches today. 7 in action. The Saints and the Lions yesterday, and Richmond and Hawthorn doing battle here tomorrow in the AFLW before the men's clash of the same matchup. Salem from the stoppage, kick toward half forward. Langdon takes it off hand. There was a free kick in there. Have the D's taken the advantage? They have. Chris Donlan's let it go. And it'll be a ball in at the junction of the 50 in the boundary out at left half forward. D's kicking to the city end of this second term. We're tied at 9 apiece.
So Pitternet against Gawn in the ruck. The umpire spins the ball back into play. Spills down to Stocker. He just got booed to ball. And I think the umpire's called holding the ball. It's a free kick to Melbourne. Let's have a look at the replay. I think an incorrect disposal. So free kick to Pickett, 50 metres out, quick to play on and send it towards home. Long bomb from Cozzy Pickett brings up Melbourne's second of the evening. 2-3-15 lead Carlton, 1-3-9, 4 minutes played second term. Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke, what a goal.
Great goal. When they're having those long shots, I either look at the goal umpire where they move, or you just keep your eyes on the player after they kick it. As soon as it left his boot, he knew he'd nailed that one. He was skipping away to the middle with one arm and one finger raised in the air. He absolutely flushed that one. But look, he's been pretty lively to start the game. Just having a quick look here at his possessions. If I can find him, I'll get back to you very quickly. He's up to 4, but he's looking really lively around that forward line, getting up the ground, and that's what I want to see him do. He's got the engine and got the pace to get up right up near the half-back line and still get back to the forward line, not just be that small forward who hangs around the goals.
The big bang of 6 a few weeks ago against the Power. Know what he's capable of. Cozzy Pickett, goal number 38 on the season. And here comes Oliver bursting out of the middle. Kicks an absolute sack inside the 50. Lewis Young hacks it off the deck. Out to Cottrell. And now to Setterfield. Handball to Marchbank. Nurses his kick down the boundary line. It was very average. Bounced just in front of Durden. And they can't keep it in the Blues. It'll be thrown back into play. Outer side between the wing and half forward. D's into attack.
Berkey, question without notice. There's a lot of players losing their feet today in the middle of the ground. Is it an instruction, do you think, now that they don't have schooling boots anymore?
I don't think any of them have got any in their arsenal. I walked into the Western Bulldogs rooms because I needed a pair of boots. I was going to pinch them. And I never saw one pair of scoring boots.
I don't think the manufacturers make a lot of them these days, to be honest. And of course, there was the incident a few years ago with the Sydney player who sliced a player's leg open. There's a long entry inside forward 50 for the Ds. Fritsch got dragged down, got his handball away somehow. Now Setterfield for the Blues, clears up the outer wing, and Mackay's presenting strongly to pull it in front of May.
He hand passes inboard to Chris, who has a fumble, has time to regather and gives it to Walsh. He kicks it across the other side of the ground. Fisher, he collects on the back point of the square. That's a dangerous kick into the corridor. Brayshaw comes across with a big fist. Spills to Neil Bullen, who gathers and then flares it out wide to Jordan, who's marked on centre wing.
Saad was down behind the play and he's only just got up now, so a couple of trainers went out to him.
Jordan chips short to Gawn, who's found space at right half forward. Looks ahead and then chips it into the pocket. Going back with the flight of the ball was Young, tackled by Fritsch, holding the ball.
Even then, just on transition, just what my eyes are telling me, the Melbourne jumpers are streaming forward a lot more.
It was in fact a free kick to in the back to Young as Carlton exit defence.
Cripps takes it off hands. You can hear the boos, and he sends it to Curnow, who's got Harry Mackay all alone inside the 50, whips the kick in his direction, and Harry bangs it through and brings the Blues fans to their feet here at the MCG. It all opened up for Carlton. Mackay the beneficiary. Big H has got 2, and we're tied at 15. 2-3 apiece, Carlton and Melbourne. 8 minutes gone, second term. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
I'm going to give that goal to Cripps. He got the ball in congestion around the half-back line, ran forward, and he realised that Curnow couldn't lead out wide because his play was covering that area. He had to lead more into the middle. So he just took an extra step, popped the ball into the centre corridor away from where his defender was, open up the whole ground for Mackay to run back. An average player would have just tried to kick that ball long and high. It was just a really great place. Fantastic composure by Cripps.
Scores level for the third time tonight as Doherty rips it out of the centre, sends a high one towards half forward. Good mark, Cottrell. Read the flight of that ball well and then is it into the pocket. And Fisher rose at ground level. His hand pass looking for Curnow. Now Lever comes in, hand passes backwards to Jordan. Now to May, under pressure with the kick. It's a wobbly one towards half back. McGovern will get this for Carlton and then square it to the top of the square. May, though, again with a nice contested mark. Chip short to Rivers, who sends it out wide to Petrarca.
Petrarca out on the southern side, just outside the defensive 50. All slows down in front of him. Goes long on the right boot up the southern wing. Fritsch in from the back. Marchbank stood in front. 2 hands to it, couldn't mark. Silvani and Stocker a handball through the traffic. Melbourne numbers prevail. Fritsch a handball out wide to Langdon. Langdon loops it over to Jackson, who flicks it back to Ed Langdon, who continued to run. His handball pinched by Doherty, and Carlton can come ricocheting back the other way. A swinging kick across the centre square from Stocker, picked up by Fisher. Fisher's got Owies in the centre. Elects to go laterally and maybe a little bit safer and perhaps more wise to O'Brien, who's got it between the wing and half back.
Yeah, just had nothing to go forward to. He turned around in the corridor, looked up, and there was just nothing. There was just to see a Melbourne player zoning off.
He just has to kick long in the Curnow direction. Petty had front spot and then wins the footy. Does Melbourne off to Hunt. He spears a pass to Spargo, who's marked on centre wing. Has Petrarca running for him. From half forward, loads up. Sends it, looking for Gawn. Oh, he just dropped. Maybe would have, should have taken. Ball in dispute inside forward 50 for Melbourne. Fritsch, he's caught. Ball spills out. Walsh is in there. Now Oliver. Now Wiedering. He's dispossessed. Oliver. Hand passes to space. O'Brien collects. He's tackled by Gawn. Just gets the hands free to Marchbank, who hacks it out of the danger zone looking for Curnow. He's fisted away from him over the boundary line for a throw-in.
I'd say the runner would go out to Young at the moment and just say to him, and if Gawn flies, you need to go with him. You can't rely on a third man up. If you're on him and he flies, you need to go with him, because he just sagged off him. Gawn dropped the mark, quite lucky, but needs to go with him if he flies.
Chris Johnson with you on Grandstand AFL. Ball tossed back in. Jackson wins it down. Oliver the clearing kick forward. Cleverly tapped over the top by Rivers toward the boundary line. He's dumped over the turf by Fisher. A couple of West Australians going hard at the ball there. And it'll be thrown in front of the interchange gates. Speaking of West Australians going hard at the footy, at a sodden Perth Stadium, it's the Dockers by 4 points in Derby 55. 3-4 playing 3 straight, nearing quarter time. Here at the MCG, the ball spinning back into play. Centre wing on the members' side. Brayshaw takes it off the pack for the D's. Hooks it around his body toward half forward. Gawn thumps it away from Young. It was ended up with Doherty. Handball to Setterfield. Handball to Stocker. Aggressive kick up the corridor. Won't come off. Levers across to chop it down. And then hacked forward by Salem for the D's. Clean pick up by Stocker, though, to Marchbank to Nunes out on the wing.
Oh, he's had a fumble. Now Pickett comes in and tackles him to the ground. Got the hand pass out to Cottrell. And it's kicked down the wing. And Silvani is marked.
I don't know what's wrong, Berkey, with the old-fashioned give it and shepherd. A lot of players at the moment just give it and then have no responsibility after they've possessed of the ball.
Silvani short to Setterfield, although I think it might be a downfield free kick, is it? And I think Curnow's going to line up for a shot on goal.
Just trying to watch the replay there just to see what that was for. We could only see one play on the ground, which is a Melbourne play, and it's gone against him. So just seeing it now on the replay, yeah, Curnow trying to get around one of the players there in Petty, and Petty almost was hugging him and couldn't get free. So, well umpired.
So free kick to Charlie Curnow, 35 out, 45-degree angle to the right. Lets it fly from 40 and misses. So Carlton hit the lead though, 2-4-16 to Melbourne 2-3-15, 13 played second term as Melbourne quickly bring it in.
If I see another player spinning the ball around in the hands as they're coming in for a set shot at goal, I will throw up.
Hibbert long down the line. That's shades of Terry Wallace from a Western Bulldogs coach.
I was going to say spew up.
I'll spew up.
I cleaned it up because, oh, geez, it gives me that irrit.
Gawn takes a good mark for the D. Sends it long toward half forward. Brown got a hand in there to knock it down. Viney bursts away with it, pokes it inside the 50. Will it sit for Spargo? Not quite. He had Fritsch running shotgun. Now the back pocket Blues work it out. Doherty to Stocker. Around the body, tumbling kick outside the defensive 50. Skids past Brown. Salem can't keep it in, out of play. Let's go downstairs. Lauren Borden's on the boundary.
Not good news for Adam Saad. He did come off the field. He struggled just to get to the interchange gates, and then the moment he got over them was kind of keeled over, struggling to get in some breath. He's gone down to the rooms with the doctor. Physios have been running down to him, so a few problems for Adam Saad at the moment.
Good news for Adam Saad. Paddy Dower, the substitute for Carlton. Throw in half forward for Melbourne. Brayshaw, kick around the corner. Pitches inside 50, coming out McGovern and just tumbles it down the corridor to centre half forward. Martin couldn't trap it. Coming through hard is Durden. It spills to Martin from left half forward. Chips it over the top. Mackay is in space. The kick couldn't quite get to him. But he lays a big tackle against Petty and forces a stoppage 40 metres out from the Blues' goal.
Good footy all round there. Petty taking the courage there, Berkey, just to come off his opponent, because he left his opponent all alone in the goal square, and a super tackle by Mackay.
He was between a rock and a hard place, Harry Petty, and he made the most of the situation. Martin dragged Brayshaw down without the football then. That wasn't well disguised. And that'll be a free kick. Angus Brayshaw having a terrific season, 32 disposals last week. He committed his future to the football club. Kicks long up the line to a man they hope does in Jackson. 2 arms outstretched, can't pull it in. Viney's there, he's been in red hot form. Run down by Fisher. Handball straight up in the air. Setterfield takes it. Fisher takes the handball off him. To Walsh, to Sard, who's back out there for the Blues. High up and under kick toward the edge of the arc. Thumped away from Owies. Spills to Doherty. He's run over by Neil Bullen. Still at half forward for Carlton. Hunt goes in. Owies over the top of him. Neil Bullen comes in a little bit overzealous.
This is a reward for effort now for Carlton. Their tackling pressure has been very good in the last minute or so.
What's Owies got to go to? He's got Big Harry.
Oh, Shepherd.
And a free kick. Harry thinks he's going back to have a shot for his third.
Yeah, gets Martin.
He's going to have to toss it back to Stephen May at the top of the defensive goal square.
At least the crowd are up and about now. They've been a bit subdued in this first half so far. Nothing like a couple of dodgy free kicks in front of goal to get the crowd excited.
Brayshaw spears a pass to Viney at half-back. Fisher stands the mark. Viney kicks along down the line, looking for Jackson in a one-on-one against McGovern. They both go to ground. And we've got a ball up between wing and half forward, and Melbourne's attacking half of the ground.
Bailey Fritsch and Ben Brown, just one handball each and no marks between them so far.
Petrarca from the stoppage. Hand pass to Viney, who hand passes backwards to Brayshaw. Oh, Cripps with the tackle. I'm not sure Brayshaw had it. Umpire says play on. Jordan from close up against the boundary line. Hand passes to Viney. He's dispossessed by O'Brien. Umpire says throw it in. Ball up between wing and half forward. Melbourne into attack. They trail Carlton by 1.
They're restless in the dark green seats of the members.
34 to 33 tackles each side, and Melbourne just got their nose in front.
Gawn smashes it forward out of midair at the stoppage. Neil Bullen's onto it, dragged down by Doherty, and then he dragged down Viney as well. Cripps with a handball to Doherty. The former co-captains trying to link up at half-back for the Blues. Lightning hand pass from Doherty to Sard, who gets the wharf as he whacks it up the wing. Martin floats in from the back. Can't take it with him for Carlton. Salem's there. Loops the hand pass defensively to Brayshaw. Now to Hibbert, who tries to whip it across the back 50. Found Langdon, but he was closed down quickly by Cottrell. Got his handball to Sparrow. Sparrow to Hunt, and it opens up in front of Jaden Hunt. 70 out from goal. Kicks to full forward. Fritsch upstairs. Can't take the mark. Wiedering stayed down for the Blues, but turned it over. Straight back to Hunt. Now to Sparrow. Weaves one way, throws it on the boot, turns it over. Mark in the hands of Marchbank for the Blues. It is frenetic stuff, only a point in it. Blues ahead through 17 minutes.
Marchbank flares it out wide to Doherty at half-back. Some nervous moments out there for both teams. It's Doherty chips short to Walsh. Kick didn't have much on it. Bounces in front of Walsh and eventually goes over the line for a boundary throw-in.
This has been good by Carlton. They've been able to just keep themselves in this contest at the moment. They're in front by 1 point, but the ability to will themselves on this contest. A couple of tags going on, these on-ballers as well.
Ball tossed back in, half forward for Melbourne. It spills to Rivers, who gives it to Oliver. Hand passes backwards to Lever from inside the centre square. Loads up and thumps it inside 50 over the head of Jackson. Out the back, Marchbank, but coming through Ben Brown. Now Sard tumbles a kick to half back. Doherty slams it out to the wing, and now it's a foot race. Petty's first there for the D's. He gathers and then chips short to Oliver.
Doherty's had 10 kicks and he's going at 10% efficiency. He's just hurrying far too much.
Oliver plays on from the AFL logo. Whacks it inside the 50 for the D's. Jackson pulls it in. 45 metres from home for Melbourne.
So Doherty's 1 out of 10 kicks have been effective, and it's the top ball winners. Walsh 25% effectiveness, Silvani 40%.
Well, his last rebound defensive 50 there, Berkey, he had 2 players that he could have, on any given day, he would have been able to hit that target with his eyes closed.
Nunes, a good kick of the footy, 0% effectiveness.
So Luke Jackson, after taking the big contested clunk, can he finish his work off? Kick will go right to the line. Almost didn't have the carry in the end as it goes through to the right-hand side for a minor score. And again, we're knotted away at 16 apiece, Carlton and Melbourne. 19 and a half minutes gone, second term, Grandstand AFL. Great to have your company here at the MCG on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Saad to bring the ball back in for the Blues. Ship short to Doherty inside the back 50. Now finds Walsh at centre-half back. He releases Marchbank, who sends it out wide to Martin at half forward, chips it inside 50 into the path of Mackay, couldn't keep it in. Ball goes over the line for a boundary throw in 30 metres around from the Blues goal. Jess Webster and Joel Peterson calling the action this evening. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts, and Lauren Borden on the boundary.
There was 3 great kicks by Carlton to go from one end to the other, and the last one, the most important one, to hit Mackay inside 50, was a shocker.
The money kick was 10 cents in the dollar, thrown back into play. Gawn takes it out of the ruck. Hamble to Jordan, Hamble to Petrarca. Clearing kick outside the defensive 50. Up toward the wing. Gawn Brown brought it down intelligently for Pickett, who shoots his kick up in front of the interchange gates for Melksham, who marks on bended knee on the broadcast side wing. Doesn't see a lot that he likes in front of him, so holds it up. Kicks to the edge of the 50. Jackson in from the back. Neil Bullen swoops in, jams it inside the arc and finds Spargo. Something out of nothing for the D's.
Well, they just kicked it to a contest at half forward. They competed in the air, and some of their smaller players just hit that contest at speed. And normally when you hit it at speed, it's pretty hard to stop. And even if you just knock it, bash it forward, but it was able to fall straight into their lap and get it forward.
First kick for Spargo.
Played every game this season for the D's is Charlie Spargo. He skips in from 45 metres out, 5 in from the boundary line, sends it on its way and strikes the steel on the right-hand side. Leaves the goalpost wobbling. 1 point lead to Melbourne now. 2-5, plays 2-4. It's a low-scoring arm wrestle here at the MCG. We're 21 into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
1 goal 3 for Melbourne this quarter to 1 goal 1 to the Blues as Saad brings it back in and finds Marchbank in the right back pocket. Well, that kick, I'm not sure that's 15. And it's called play on to Doherty. He hand pass back to Saad. It slips through his fingers and looks a bit ginger, does Saad, but he's okay skipping away as the ball goes over the line for a throw-in. 55 around from Melbourne's goal at left half forward, in fact.
Yeah, Saad, he looked okay for 4 or 5 minutes, but that action there, that's hurt him again.
From the throw-in, Cottrell out the back, just jams it on the boot and wobbles it down the line. May out the back, wheels around, and that's a nice kick, finds Langdon in space in the wing.
Neat pass from Langdon inboard to Rivers. Rivers, the overlap run from Hunt, just got the handball away into the centre of the ground. The D's try to link up. Viney ran into trouble. Motlop applied the pressure. Almost rewarded. Should have been rewarded with the free kick. Now it's a ball up on the wing.
It didn't really tackle him.
No.
He just knocked the ball out of his hands, so the crowd need to understand you actually have to tackle to get hold of the ball.
Chris Donlan, Matt Stevick, Jamie Broadbent are umpires this evening. From the stoppage, Doherty hacks it forward for the Blues. On the hop, collected by Rivers on the defensive 50 for Melbourne. Sends it back the other way. Out in front of Neil Bullen. Doherty closed in on him, gave away the free kick. It was going to be a mark or a chop of the arms. It was the former in the end. Alex Neil-Bullen will take it. Clayton Oliver's trying to get the football back to him. Will Setterfield's not doing a lot to help. Oliver has to go off the ground in the end to get it back to his teammate.
So Neil Bullen from half back just winds up and kicks long to half forward. Jackson presents through his hands. Marchbank lays a tackle and forces a stoppage. 70 out from the D's goal. Petrarca at the bottom of that pack. Umpire tosses the ball aloft. Gone against Pitternet. Viney, his hand pass out wide to Petrarca, close against the boundary line. Hand passes backwards to Langdon, but he's ran out of room. Throw in, 70 around from the Demons' goal at left half forward. They lead by a point. 24 played, second term here on Grandstand AFL.
The Derby, it's the Eagles by 3 early stages, second term, 4-1, playing 3-4 against the Dockers. Ball tossed back in on the outer side. Viney chases after it, sends one into the night sky out wide. It'll float out of bounds on the full. No, Cripps has touched that on the way through. Well, that's not his finest moment. That was floating out of bounds on the full, and he knocked it across the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in.
Setterfield was going to Oliver right from the start, but now he's just tightened up in general play now, not just at the stoppages.
Max Gawn and Mark Pitnet in ruck. Pitnet had the better of the tap on that occasion. Cripps is there for the Blues. Pops the handball over the top to Cottrell. He elects to kick around the southern wing, looking for Curnow, and Hibbard found himself loose of Fisher and floated in to take a nice intercept mark. Former All-Australian defender for the D's. Been important since returning to the team. He's got it across half-back.
Winds up and kicks down the line over the head of Jackson. Falls at the feet, Neil Bullen, but coming through is Langdon from half forward. Low kick into the pocket. Melksham just had too much on it. Spills over the back and out of bounds. 5 metres around from the Demons' goal. Throw in, left half forward.
Well, forward efficiency at the moment, shots on goal. 6 shots on for 19 forward entries for Carlton and 7 shots for 27 inside forward 50s for the D's.
They're not the kind of percentages you want.
No.
On a long stretch for either of these two teams. From the stoppage, Stocker drives Petrarca into the turf. Ball's not going anywhere, a ball up. 35 metres out from the Melbourne goal at the Punt Road end. D's with 1 goal 3 here in this term. Carlton with 1 goal 1. It's a 1-point lead to Melbourne. The margin was the same the way of the Blues at quarter time. Hacked forward at the stoppage. Oh, Melksham emerges, shows them a clean pair of heels and shows them how to finish. Jake Melksham with his second. And the Demons get their second of this second quarter. 3-5-23 Melbourne. Carlton 2-4-16. 26 played here in the second term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson.
Well, Joe, Carlton have done an excellent job defending for the majority of this quarter. They've high balls. They haven't allowed them to be marked. They've really cleaned up the ground balls. But that was just far too easy. It was just Melksham wanted the ball more than any other player inside that forward 50. There's no way he should have been able to pick up that footy and pretty much run clear. He just ran clear by himself, burst through, and an easy left foot snap from 20 metres out. So poor play by the Carlton defence there, and the coaches will be really unhappy about giving up a goal pretty much out of nothing. It
was a poor tackle by Will Setterfield. Just didn't get low enough.
So we're back in the middle. Gawn taps it down. Setterfield rips it away. Hand passes to Cripps, who gives it to Walsh from the centre square. Sends it towards half forward. It's got to fall into the path of Brayshaw of the D's. He's kicked, though, out of bounds on the full. Free kick to McGovern, the centre wing members' side.
I think what Carlton have got to do, Berkey, as well, they've just got to keep believing in their system at the moment, because it's holding up at the minute. It's just that they haven't been able to get it forward with a clear winner at the moment. Harry Mackay's been able to get away a couple of times.
McGovern getting some advice from Sam Doherty on the bench before he launches it inside the 50 for Carlton. Lever takes it off the pack, tackled by Silvani and Curnow. Ball not coming out. Melbourne by 7, 27 and a half minutes gone second term. In the Derby, it's the Eagles by 3 points over the Dockers. Melbourne in second spot as it stands on the ladder at the moment, in charge of this ball game. At the stoppage, Silvani with a chance. Fisher, left forward pocket, finds some space, hooks it back toward goal and finishes brilliantly. And they've been able to break the deadlock both sides late in this second term. Scoring's been hard to come by. Melksham at one end, Fisher at the other, and the margin's back to a point. Melbourne 3-5, Carlton 3-4, 28 played second term.
Look, I think Fisher's going to get that goal under his name, but the tackle that young Walsh done on Oliver was just extraordinary. Oliver is so good at breaking tackles, and he was able to keep that ball inside his forward 50, and then the handball out from Silvani, knowing there's space. And, you know, you've got to be smarter than that, Rivers. You can't jump up and do star jumps in the forward pocket and just allow a small forward just to assess up the situation and just have a wayward shot on goal and let it go through. Just some poor checking there by the Demons.
So margin back to a point Melbourne's way. We're back in the middle. Oliver wins it out of the centre. Kicks it high up and under towards half forward. And Pickett in front, but it's Nunes at the back for the Blues, who takes the intercepting mark at centre-half back.
Former Saint kicks up the centre. Salem got a hand in there. Out the back to Cripps, or threw it over his head. That had to be a throw. It's like he was tossing a shovel of dirt over his shoulder into a wheelbarrow.
I don't mind Nunes' kick, though. It was a tricky one, but they look really dangerous when they get the ball forward. Mackay looks dangerous on that quick play.
Rivers for the D's inside the 50. Fritsch a hand to it. Knocked down to Sparrow at the front of the pack. Walsh lays underneath it all inside the 50 for the Demons. Setterfield, quick hands. Nunes left it behind. Setterfield goes back in. Shoots the handball to Sard. Now to Walsh, stationary inside the defensive 50. Sard's hemmed in along the boundary line. Steps around Cozzy Pickett. Gets on that left boot. Whacks it up the line on the southern side. Lever stretches, can't mark. Mackay brought it to ground, did well for the Blues, but Sparrow knocks it on to Oliver, and Melbourne re-enter the 50. Oliver's kick, Brown goes up, can't accept it. Sard's happy to see it into touch. Left forward pocket. D's into attack, 35 metres around from their goal. Closing on half-time, 1 point in it. Melbourne 3-5, Carlton 3-4.
Can't remember the last time Melbourne really pinpointed the ball to somebody in the forward line. Every kick has just been a long bomb.
Ball tossed back in. Brown and Pitternet tangle. Petrarca comes through, gives it to Cozzy Pickett from 48 metres out, right to the line. But it's to the near side for a minor. They extend their lead to 2 points. 3-6-24 Melbourne to Carlton 3-4-22. As we tick over half an hour played in the second term.
Blues wasting no time. Brought into Cripps at half-back. He wants to link up by hand. O'Brien. Now on to Nunes, back to Cripps, darts his kick down the wing, taken away by May. Easy intercept for the Demons defender, and now they're off and running. Sparrow whacks it inside the 50 to Fritsch. With a climb and a catch inside the arc. Bailey Fritsch has been hardly seen tonight. And he can give the D's a big boost right on half-time. A little bit of a fracas emerging in the centre of the ground. Meanwhile, Silvani and Petrarca are involved in that. But Bailey Fritsch, who hasn't had a kick to this stage, will have the set shot after the half-time siren as the blue rolls on in the centre. They'll all be in there no matter the result, you'd think.
We'd want to kick this goal before the umpire gives a free kick against Melbourne.
So Fritsch comes in, left foot kick, goal. Right on half-time to give Melbourne a shot in the arm as they enter the rooms. And the D's go to the half with an 8-point advantage over Carlton. Remarkably, it's an equal game-high lead. Such is the way this game's played out thus far. Melbourne 4-6-30 to Carlton 3-4-22 at the half. It's the Blues' equal lowest scoring opening half of the season. It's been an arm wrestle. It's been frenetic. It's been full of intensity. The finishing hasn't been there for either side, but you certainly couldn't question the effort. Goals for the Demons in that opening half. 2 to Jake Melksham, 1 to Cozzy Pickett, and Bailey Fritsch with his lone kick of the opening half of football kicked a goal. For Carlton, 2 to Harry Mackay, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and a great finish tight on the boundary to Zach Fisher. In the Derby, Fremantle 4-4 lead West Coast 4-1. That's a topsy-turvy, low-scoring affair at a sodden Perth Stadium as well. And here at half-time, it is Melbourne 4-6, Carlton 3-4. Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke with their impressions of the first half.
Well, Jono, inside 50s are 32-20 in favour of Melbourne. They're controlling most of the play, but as we've seen on the scoreboard, just 4 goals, 6 and a goal after the siren. Now, I think the defence of Carlton are doing an outstanding job holding up as long as they can. You just don't hope that the damn wall breaks at some stage. And what I think is going to precipitate that is if Melbourne can get some free ball through the middle of the ground, isolate those Carlton defenders and actually pinpoint some kicks inside 50 rather than just bomb the ball in like they're doing at the moment, I think that could open the game right up. So for me, if Carlton are going to stay in this game, it's that pressure around the middle of the ground and pressuring those kickers, kicking the ball into that Melbourne forward line. If they just lapse ever so slightly, in that I think Melbourne have the ability with Brown, with Fritsch and Melksham, who's been really lively today, to get on the end of some easy goals. So that pressure through the middle is really, really important. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're really intent on pressuring, and that's the way that you want to play the game, when you get the ball in return, it's hard to then have a lot of composure. And I think that we're seeing that with Carlton through the middle. They're really trying to pressure and they're really trying to work really hard, but when they get the footy, they're not having great composure going forward at the other end. We've seen Mackay free a couple of times. They've just missed him. Really haven't gone to Curnow very much at all. He's really been a non-factor in this game. Had one ball kicked to him by Cripps and they end up getting a goal from that, but just not being a target very, very often. So I think for Carlton, it's pressure when they haven't got the footy, but composure when they do have the football. That will keep them in this game. If they lapse either one, I think Melbourne can blow them apart.
Yeah, well, you're right, and it all comes back to the pressure. 10 to 22 tackles in favour of Carlton. They brought that pressure inside their forward 50, around the middle of the ground, and Carlton at the moment, they're a bit unlucky to actually be 8 points adrift at the moment, just to that last kick inside the forward 50 for Fritsch. But the Ds are all over him in the centre clearances at the moment, really dominating in there, losing their feet quite a bit, and we mentioned that around screw-ins through the middle of that, through that second term. A lot of players, especially a lot of Carlton players, seem to be not able to keep their feet within the middle of the ground, which is a bit of a struggle. But look, I think, as you said, Berkey, the inside forward 50s at the moment, the pressure acts as well, the pressure guide is Carlton's really up there as well. But the inside forward 50s, 18 to 9 at the moment, and I think what's going to happen and what Melbourne need to do to be able to win this game, and they'll eventually do it, Berkey, is how do they isolate Fritsch and Brown inside that defence, inside their forward 50, as you spoke about in the middle part of that broadcast, that they were kicking the ball long to packs. I think once they can move the ball quick through the middle of the ground and isolate forwards, and they're going to make sure that they can, or they've got to force Carlton's defenders to actually defend. At the moment, I think one-on-one, Melbourne Football Club are much better against the Carlton defence. They look better, they look smarter, they're kicking to space as well. So if they can do that a little bit more, Melbourne, they'll go a long way to win it. And I think if Carlton, on the other hand, can do that as well. We've seen Harry Mackay. We haven't seen too much of Charlie up forward. He's had a couple of missed shots as well. But I think it comes back to isolation inside your forward 50.
Melbourne have taken 6 marks inside forward 50 and Carlton just the 3. When you got Mackay, Curnow and these other guys down there, just 3.5 marks inside 50. That's not going to cut it against the Ds.
They'll be very close to all Harry Mackay's as well. Charlie Curnow came into the game 2 goals ahead of Jeremy Cameron in the Coleman after Cameron kicked 3 goals, 3 for the Cats this afternoon against the Suns, and Curnow yet to register a major to half-time. So it is a real arm wrestle. There's plenty of intensity about it. It's living up to the billing so far as a Saturday night blockbuster. Maybe not the greatest spectacle of all times, but certainly the will and the intent and the want is there from both teams here at the MCG. At half-time, it's Melbourne 4-6-30, leading Carlton 3-4-22. More from Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson very shortly. We'll check in with Derby 55 as well, and the second half here from the MCG. That's all on the other side of the latest from ABC News.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. The nation's first law officers have agreed on draft principles to reduce and criminalise coercive control in abusive relationships. State, territory and federal attorneys general will develop a nationally consistent approach towards dealing with behaviour that seeks to control and dominate another person in a relationship. Federal Attorney General Mark Dreyfus says the draft principles will help raise awareness of the behaviour that is often linked to domestic violence.
They set out a description of what coercive control is. They talk about how to deal with coercive control, and in particular, I think, will make it better understood.
Several hardline Iranian newspapers have praised the knife attack on author Salman Rushdie at a literary event in the United States. The celebrated 75-year-old Indian-born writer suffered serious wounds in the attack that occurred in upstate New York. He's been a potential target ever since Iranian clerics urged Muslims to kill him because writing in his 1988 novel, The Satanic Verses, was considered blasphemous. A 24-year-old man was arrested after the attack. There's no official reaction yet from Iran. US President Joe Biden will sign a $600 billion climate tax and health bill into law next week after Congress gave it final approval. The Inflation Reduction Act is seen as the biggest climate package in American history and aims to cut domestic greenhouse gas emissions. It will also allow Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices for the elderly and ensure that corporations and the wealthy pay the taxes they owe. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says it's a cause for great celebration.
There has been a stranglehold on this Congress, whether it's the pharma in terms of prescription drugs, whether it's the fossil fuel industry in terms of the climate issues. We have given the American people breathing room from that stranglehold.
A Russian official says any possible seizure of Russian assets by the United States would completely destroy Moscow's bilateral relations with Washington. The Russian news agency TASS quoted the comment from the head of the North American department at the Russian Foreign Ministry. He warned the US that such actions would permanently damage bilateral relations and said US influence on Ukraine has increased to a degree that Americans are becoming more and more a direct party in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Authorities in Spain say one person is dead and dozens more injured after high winds caused part of a stage to collapse at a dance music festival near the city of Valencia. The strong gusts hit the Medusa Festival, a major electronic music event being held over 6 days. Regional health officials say 40 people were treated for injuries. In a Facebook post, the festival organisers say they're devastated and saddened at what has occurred. Victoria's State Emergency Service has received at least 79 calls for help in the past 6 hours for building damage and flooding after a hailstorm swept across Melbourne. The Weather Bureau says it started at Frankston in Melbourne South before moving to the northern suburbs and hitting areas including Thornbury and Northcote. Parts of the city were blanketed white. The Queensland Government says it could take a long time to renovate some flood-affected homes. Lillian Rangia has more on this story.
Queensland's Deputy Premier Stephen Miles is asking families for patience as the state government rolls out a $741 million scheme to make flood-prone homes more resilient to future disasters.
If you are undertaking a major renovation of your home, you will spend months getting the plans, getting the quotes, in this case, collaborating with insurers.
The scheme, announced in April, will use state and federal funding to buy back, raise or retrofit homes to make them more flood resilient. Mr Miles says some flood-affected houses have been identified for initial buybacks and will soon receive valuations.
A Northern Territory woman has been charged with child abduction following the disappearance of Grace Hughes last week. The 5-year-old and her 34-year-old mother, Laura Hinks, were last seen during a parental visit on Sunday afternoon. Police say the 50-year-old will face court on Monday. This is ABC News.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
We're talking stratospheric amounts of cash with these people.
He blew a gasket in a way that I can't ever recall hearing before in a post-game press conference.
I don't think I'm the first person to say it feels a little cultish at times. So what does it look like when you got all those...
Oh, it is, and I'm one of the ever faithful.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the Listen app.
Hello, Costa here. Gardening is great for the whole family, and I want to tell you something that will get the kids in your life growing. It's my brand new podcast, Gardening Buds. Everything a kid needs to know to make their own garden grow. Whether you've got a big backyard, a balcony, or a little pot on a windowsill. Join Kaylee and I for Gardening Buds. Out now on the ABC Kids Listen and ABC Listen apps.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
So pitting it against Gawn in the ruck. The umpire spins the ball back in a plate. Spills down to Stocker. Just got through to ball. And I think the umpire's called holding the ball. So free kick to Pickett, 50 metres out. Quick to play on and send it towards home. Long bomb from Cozzy Pickett brings up Melbourne's second of the evening.
Cripps takes it off hands. You can hear the boos, and he sends it to Curnow, who's got Harry Mackay all alone inside the 50. Whips the kick in his direction, and Harry bangs it through. Back forward at the stoppage. Oh, Melksham emerges, shows them a clean pair of heels, and shows them how to finish. Easy intercept for the Demons defender. And now they're off and running. Sparrow whacks it inside the 50 to Fritsch, with a climb and a catch inside the arc. And he can give the D's a big boost right on half-time. Fritsch comes in, left foot kick, goal. Right on half-time.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Might just ignite the Demons. The Bailey Fritsch goal going into the main break. 8 points the spread in what's been an arm wrestle. Nothing more, nothing less. Carlton looking to sew up a finals berth for the first time since 2013 with a win. Melbourne looking to move back into the AFL's top two if they can squeak through to victory. And you get the sense that it is going to be the victor this evening that's just squeaks through. They're going to have to fight. They're going to have to work for it. Melbourne 4-6-30 to Carlton 3-4-22 at half-time at the MCG. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital through Victoria, Tasmania, the top end, and in South Australia. Winners earlier today in round 22 of the AFL season. The Western Bulldogs by 5 over the GWS Giants. The Adelaide Crows by 29 over North Melbourne. And Geelong by 60 points over the Gold Coast Suns. At Perth Stadium in Derby 55. It's West Coast 5-2-32, leading Fremantle 4-5-29. Caleb Sarong leads all comers with 15 disposals for the Dockers. All single goal kickers in that game, so no one bobbing up with two. It's been very wet in Perth in recent times. And so it's the Eagles in a topsy-turvy game that holds sway at the moment. Absolute stack, a veritable feast of AFLW practice matches going on across the course of the weekend. Yesterday, the Lions beat the Saints. One very happy Lions supporter to my left in Jay Webster. They were pretty impressive too, the Lions. More impressive was running 150-metre sprint repeats as soon as that game had gone in the rain, Jess. It was pretty cold down at Moorabbin yesterday, and the Lions just showing every little skerrick of their professionalism afterward.
Just a bit of psychological warfare going on as St Kilda were in the rooms doing a warm down, and the Lions are doing some more conditioning, just really ramping things up in the pre-season.
And it was no surprise to see Nat Grider and Emily Bates with the arm swing just absolutely hammering away at the turf there at Moorabbin. The games today, Essendon and Port Adelaide, two of the expansion clubs out at the hangar. Port Adelaide led by 12 points at half-time. Essendon came out of the blocks after the Power rested some players in the second half to win by 20 points. Geelong beat the Gold Coast by 36. Collingwood beat Sydney by 30. Melbourne here at the MCG in the early game of these two defeated Carlton by 70. The D's dominant with a 6-goal first term. Fremantle squeaked past West Coast 19-13. North Melbourne defeated the reigning premiers Adelaide by 2 points, 20-18. And your Western Bulldogs, Nathan Burke, went down to the Giants by a point. What were your takeaways from that practice match earlier today for the Doggies?
Yeah, we play them in a couple of weeks, so I didn't want to get them angry, so I let them come back in the last quarter and
bit of psychological warfare.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mind games all around, love it.
No, it was good. That was our first practice match. Most teams have had two. We've just had the one, so we played 26 players odd, so it's very hard to rotate 10 across the bench. But no, I was really happy with what we were working on over pre-season. There was patches there where we did it really well. There was other patches where I could see they wanted to do it, but just a little bit tired, a little bit flustered, couldn't quite pull it off. But overall, I was happy. I'm looking forward to playing them again in 2 weeks' time.
Was that a choice, one practice match, Berkey, or was that forced upon you?
Geelong didn't want to play a practice match, and so when there's 18 teams, that means another team misses out.
Yeah.
So we just didn't get a chance.
So the AFLW season, of course, starts in a couple of weeks' time. Grandstand will have coverage of that 12 days from now. Collingwood and Carlton at Princes Park under the lights. That is an enticing prospect indeed. In the National Rugby League today, the Roosters defeated the Cowboys 32-18. The Sharks over West Tigers 36-12. 52 minutes in, the Broncos lead the Knights 18-0 in the late game this evening. Tomorrow in the AFL, big day of footy, of course. Grandstand AFL Sunday with Corbin Milmas to kick you off. And then 3 games for broadcast around the network. Richmond Hawthorn at the MCG, an AFLW game to precede that as well here on the hallowed turf. Sydney and Collingwood, the blockbuster at the SCG, 5th and 3rd. And then Essendon and Port Adelaide to round things off over at Docklands to close out round 22. 0437 774 774, the text line. Ben from Terralgan says, it was great seeing Ben Cunnington out there today, boys. That's what it's all about. Saw some good signs for North today. Clarkson next week will be North Melbourne coach. That's rather optimistic, Ben, I would have thought. And someone else saying, what do the Doggies have to do to make the finals? Well, luckily for them, they won today. If Carlton lose tonight, that helps them a lot. If Richmond lose tomorrow, that helps them even more. Essentially, the Dogs still have to make up a game. They've just got to win next week, no matter what, and then hope that some things fall their way.
Then they've got Hawthorn down in Tassie next week, and we hope that Collingwood beat Carlton if Carlton lose tonight.
Yes, absolutely. So Carlton at the moment can sew up their spot inside the 8 if they win. Richmond can do, well, almost the same if they win tomorrow. And so depending on how the result goes tonight, we could know a lot more about the mix of the final 8s by tomorrow evening, or things could still be very uncertain as we head into round 23. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, players about to get set for a start. You're predicting any changes structurally as we come out of this second half?
Well, no, I'm just predicting more composure by Carlton going at 50% by foot. That's not going to beat Melbourne.
Well, the question mark is how long can Carlton maintain this pressure and be able to maintain it through not just this third quarter, but being able to maintain it into this last quarter as well. So their first half pressure and everything's been fantastic. They've got to go through with it now.
Top 4 on the line for Melbourne. A finals place on the line for the Blues. It's Melbourne by 8 at half-time, and we're underway in the third quarter here at the MCG. Cripps tries to rip it out of the centre, is going nowhere, and we've got a secondary ball up. Umpire quick to toss the ball aloft. Jackson against Pitternet. Oliver at ground level, coming through Doherty. Oh, he's tackled by Brayshaw. Umpire calls play on. Cripps has a go. Sard taps it to Setterfield. He gets boot to ball and sends it inside 50 for the Blues. Lever with the fist. It spills to Silvani. He's tackled by Lever. Umpire's calling play on and lets it go. Curnow, boot to ball, tumbles towards the line and just misses to the left. So first goal of the second half goes to the Blues. Melbourne 4-6, Carlton 3-5.
Whoever the coach is for Carlton running the forwards, you just need to probably get to Motlop and Nunes and just talk about hitting the pack at speed and getting front and square to it, because they're sitting on the outers at the moment.
May instantly brings it in to Hibberd for the D's, who kicks long up the broadcast side wing. Doherty took it on the bounce, and now to Sard, who gallops away. Sends it inside, forward 50. Mackay nudged May under the footy, and he's paid the mark, and May is irate.
I just don't know what that ruling is, and it's been happening all year, Berkey, where hands have just gone straight into the back, and they've been able to nudge out defenders have been able to nudge out forwards, vice versa. I reckon that's probably something that just needs to be tightened up at the moment. A bit of staging as well at the same time.
Harry Mackay already kicked 2 from outside 50, lays into it on the left boot, won't have the carry. Jackson tries to snap it through. Silvani kept it in, but it was walked across the behind line, in fact, into the behind post. It'll be tossed back in, left forward pocket. Blues into attack. Already got a behind on the board here in this third term. A minute and a half in, we're deep inside 50 at the punt road end.
So Cripps contesting this ruck battle, just rips it out of the ruck. Hand passes to Walsh. Right foot snap has missed for another minor. So a few behinds here to Carlton. To start this third quarter, Melbourne 4-6-30. Carlton 3-6-24 through 2 minutes of the third.
The equal lowest scoring first half for both teams. Melbourne with 30 points, Carlton with 22. Shows you how much of an arm wrestle
The equal lowest scoring half of the season so far, as Neil Bullen takes the mark on the wing from a long kick in, sends it out to Fritsch, whose first kick of the game was the goal after the half-time siren. Handball turned over looking for Petrarca. Nunes comes up with it to Fisher, to Owies, around the body, low kick to Silvani, made it work, picked it up at his bootlaces, back to Owies, into the pocket, Mackay, awful delivery, but he slapped it onto Curnow, who threw it on the boot, couldn't squeeze it home. It's away to the right, minor score. Carlton's third behind of the term, closes the gap to 5.
Don't know what Owies was doing then. He missed two 15-metre short passes.
So Hibbert to Langdon in the pocket, who's turned it over on the wing. McGovern for the Blues sends it inside forward 50. It's off hands. Brayshaw collects for the D's. Cool Carmen collected and kicks short to Salem, who chips it further afield to Jordan. He wants to keep it moving. His kick looking for Hibbert. Sard closes down.
Oh, well done.
Great work by Brayshaw. Hand passes to Salem. He hand passes along the ground to Jordan, who's kicked under pressure up towards the wing. Stocker, he's turned it over. Petrarca to Neil Bullen, loops the hand pass to Jackson. They've moved it to half forward. He gives it to Melksham from 50 metres out. Kicks towards the square. And good work by Cottrell there to send it over the line. However way he needed to do that. Ball in 10 metres around from goal.
Spun around in the contest.
Is it still a spoil if it comes off your backside?
I think so, yes.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Normally you go with a knuckle, and Matt Cottrell went with a coccyx bone. All thrown back in. Viney on hands and knees. Handball to Brayshaw. Squeezes the kick forward. McGovern out there in new boots for this second half. Maybe he got your memo, Jono, because he had orange ones on earlier. He's got the white boots on at the moment, Mitch McGovern, as he takes his kick from the behind line. And comes in field to Doherty, who's going to whip it across the defensive 50 to Nunes. And now it opens up for Carlton to the broadcast side. Nunes had a fumble. Spent it before he had it. Regains his composure. Handball to Stocker, but it's been closed down, the options that the Blues had available. Stocker's kick up the line, picked off by Jackson. Almost he'll get a free kick for the arm chop just forward of the wing.
I don't understand why someone would try and kick it into the middle of the wing, where if you kick it to the boundary side, you've at least got the boundary to compete and push it over and just reset again.
Jackson kicks laterally to Hibbert, who swings it across to May. Chips forward to Salem, who's marked on the edge of the centre circles. So Salem from the centre square just goes straight down the corridor to Gawn. He's paid the mark. I think Gawn might have thought it was touched. He motioned to play on, but the umpires said go back on your line and take your shot 40 metres out directly in front.
There's one of them called a mark, and the other one sort of gestured play on, waved the arms around a little bit, then put him quickly down by his side.
Yeah, good pick up there, Berkey. I just watched it then on the replay, and you're spot on. The centre official and umpire put his arms up in the air. Play on.
Max Gawn, he's been a bit wobbly in front of goal. 11 goals, 13 this year from 45, directly in front. Makes no mistake this time. A new game-high lead for Melbourne, out to 11 points. 5-6-36 to Carlton, 3-7-25. 6 minutes played, third term. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson.
Well, all of Max Gawn's marks inside the forward 50 has always come off a lead almost. It's almost like you're allowing him. There's some way or some shape you've got to try and work out how to stop his run when it comes into the forward line. Whenever they go forward, they just put it in front of him and let him run onto it. So whether you need a defender coming across, going third man up and crossing and spoiling that ball, I'm not too sure. But there needs to probably be a little bit more communication from the Carlton defence, because you just can't allow that. He's done it on a few occasions tonight already. So you've got to make sure that you can actually get some body on him to make him at least be accountable for it.
The fact that this 11-point lead is a game high, as Jess said, shows you how in close and tight it's been. Out of the middle, the Blues come forward through centre field. Hunt comes across the pack, almost took the mark inside the defensive 50. May's handball to Hibbert, who slaps it and tried to keep it inside the field of play. It lands on the chalk and rolls over, and it'll be tossed back in 45 metres out from the Carlton goal, the city end of the ground. 5-6 playing 3-7. 7 minutes played third term. Umpire spins it back in. Mackay goes up against Gawn. Roved by Owies. Handball only as far as Brayshaw for the D's. Whacks it straight up the centre. Young floats in, stretches and plucks it out of the night sky right in the centre of the MCG.
As O'Brien out wide, ignores that and instead decides to pump it long inside the arc. It's fisted down to Silvani. Right place, right time, a goal. Carlton get their first of the third quarter and bring the margin back to 5. Melbourne 5-6-36, Carlton 4-7-31.
Well, Silvani was trying to get to the marking contest and he actually fell over. He fell over onto his belly. The ball went over the marking contest and he bobbed up off the ground and turned around and snapped the goal.
Like a cork in the ocean.
Exactly. It might be a new way of sort of getting yourself free in the forward line, was just to lay down on the ground. His player kept going to the contest and somehow the ball rolled through. So really both teams, that was a goal out of nothing. Melbourne shouldn't have got that goal. It was just a sail and bomb inside 50 in the Gawn mark. That was just a bomb inside 50 and as luck have it went through to Silvani, but he was good enough to make the most of the opportunity that he's had. He hasn't had a lot of them tonight, but made most of that one.
So the fan favourite, Jack Silvani, onto the scoreboard. Oliver comes bursting out of the middle for Melbourne to send them inside forward 50. Long to the square. Wiedering punches it down. Roved by Melksham, who bangs it through for the instant reply and his third. And all of a sudden, the floodgates have opened here at the MCG. We've got some scoring. 3 goals in a handful of minutes. Melbourne back out to an 11-point lead. 6-6, plays 4-7, 9 played in the third.
Remember me talking about early in this quarter about Carlton's forwards or small forwards and medium types hitting a contest at speed. If you're any listeners out there, any young fellas out there, make sure you go and watch this goal, because this is a perfect contest where a small forward has hit a contest at speed, front and square, and guess what happens? That's where the ball majority goes, front and square. You hit it at speed. He came across, able to have great goal sense and across his body for the third goal tonight. He's been a real live wire up forward tonight, Melksham. I think he's found his spot in the side for the final series.
Melksham's got 3 and Melbourne back out to an 11-point lead. Back in the middle, Oliver has a go. Now Silvani. He falls over it. Cripps dives on top of him. He's wrapped up by Oliver. The umpire says, let's have another ball up, still inside the centre circles. Big pack of players around this ball. Stocker jams it on the boot, sends a high one towards half forward. Hibbert in a one-on-one against Martin. They both go to ground. Hibbert comes up with it. Hand passes to Brayshaw, gets it back. Short chip to Oliver, who's marked on the wing.
Got a shove. Umpire says no. Oliver darts it to Hibbert. Maybe fortune going the way of Liam Stocker there. Hibbert rolls around onto his left boot, chisels a kick to centre half forward, taken by Cripps of the Blues, who plays on with some overlap runs. Somehow McGovern knocked it to Silvani, got the handball back, sends it to the edge of the arc, downfield. It's coming downfield for Carlton. Free kick to either of the big forwards. I think Carlton fans might like it in the hands of Charlie, and Harry Mackay's ended up with the ball right on the 50.
I reckon you're right there, Joel.
Harry should run out of the way. He hasn't hit the side of a barn today at his set shots.
So he's kicked 2 goals, Harry Mackay, but his set shot routine has looked anything but fluid. What can he do from right on the arc? He launches it with the left boot. There's the finish for Big H. And it's a big goal for the Baggers. And again, we're trading blows in this third term. Carlton and Melbourne, couple of prize fighters. And they're landing a few, each of these sides. 5-point margin restored, 6-6 to 5-7. 11 and a half played third term. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson.
Geez, not a lot in it there with Salem hitting McGovern. A bit of acting going on at the same time. But look, I just don't understand why umpires give those type of free kicks. If they're looking straight at that contest there, if they had their chance again to call that a free kick or call it back, Berkey, I'm tipping they'd call that back and not play it downfield, because there wasn't a lot in it. Right on, Harry Mackay. Have to go back and kick it, and he did.
Silvani into the ruck for the Blues against Jackson, who wins down the tap. Silvani, though, gets boot to ball, wobbles it towards half forward. Fisher traps it. His hand pass couldn't find the target in centre field. Now Salem comes up with it for the D's. Just a quick kick around the corner. He's got a bounce in front of Sparrow and coming through Cottrell. Neil Bullen, in fact, goes to ground. Sard over the top of him. How will the umpire see this? Says, I'll have it. Stoppage, centre wing members side. Melbourne by 5 through 13 minutes of the third.
Gee, Sarda's just taking his football to another level this year. Just the ability to win contests like that, or even just draw contests when he's outnumbered.
Right in front of our broadcast position, Doherty handballs out toward the boundary line. Spargo was seen to see it across, but Cottrell kept it in play, jammed it forward for the Blues. Petty takes it, almost tackled by Martin, slipped it and got the handball away to Hibbard, and then May's kick run down by Owies. Curnow takes it, centres it up, Durden slipped over, regained his footing, snaps, goals! And just like that, the Blues are back in front. Back-to-back goals for the first time tonight for Carlton. And they've hit the front by a point. 6-7-43 to the D's 6-6-42. And chalk that one up to Matt Owies. Great smother.
Yeah, well done by Carlton. Just their pressure. It was Spargo down here on the boundary line. Was just sort of trotting after the footy. He got shoved out of the way. He has a pretty poor night tonight. He's had one kick and two handballs, and that kick was ineffective. Playing on a wing, that's just not enough input for your team. And getting pushed over the line, getting the ball forward. Carlton are up and about here. This next 5 minutes is going to be really, really interesting.
So Pitternet back into the ruck against Gawn. And Doherty wins the clearance, sends a high one to centre half forward, backing back with a flight of the ball. Rivers couldn't complete the mark. Fisher at ground level for the Blues. It spills inside 50, picked up by Lever. His hand pass is chopped off by Cottrell from 50 metres out. Screws it around the corner, lands into the lap of Martin. He's marked 30 metres out directly in front.
Well, Cottrell at the moment, Matthew Cottrell, he has actually stood up on a few occasions tonight, but in the last, say, minute and a half, he stood up a couple of times and been able to will himself on a contest there as well. He read what Lever was doing, and just a clever kick to bring it back in the corridor.
So Jack Martin directly in front for 3 in a row to the Blues. They've come alive at the MCG. The Blues by 7 points, 7-7-49 lead Melbourne, 6-6-42, 15 played third term. Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
Clearance is 7-3 in favour of the Blues this quarter. It's not pretty stuff out of the middle. They're just getting it forward any way that they can. And that was a really good play at centre half forward. All of Carlton's forwards were deep, but it was their three small all players. All got involved at the top of the 50, won the footy, got the ball out to Cottrell, and a good goal. So that's what they need from their small players. It's interesting how they line up. They put all their taller ones back deep, and they have their three little guys up the front. So they're just not worried about cleanly football inside 50. They just bang it in.
Gawn takes it out of the middle, takes matters into his own hands and tries to stick it forward for the D's, and bounces its way to half forward. Jake Melksham's goal at the 9-minute mark put Melbourne 18 or 11 points to the good. In 6 minutes, Carlton have erased that, and they're now 7 ahead. It's thumped inside forward 50 for the D's. Stocker's there on the edge of the arc for the Blues. Handball to Fisher, away to Cripps. High kick into the centre of the ground. Demons converge on it from everywhere. Rivers, Petty and Lever could have raffled it. And it's the latter of the trio that takes the mark for Melbourne. Whacks it back toward the 50. Brown out in front. Good mark. First mark of the game for Ben Brown. Rarely sighted. And it'll be his first kick as well as he drops on his right boot and puts it into the path of Jackson. Just couldn't reel it in. Wiedering with him every step of the way. Forces it out for a throw-in. 45 around from the D's goal.
Well done by Wiedering. He just didn't give up on that one. Jackson had a couple of steps on him, but just enough pressure to spoil.
Ball in, half forward for Melbourne. Jackson with the palm down. It goes out of bounds for a throw-in. 70 metres around from the D's goal at right half forward. They trail by 7. 17 gone, third term. Jess Webster and Joel Peterson calling the action this evening. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts, and Lauren Borden on the boundary. Ball flicked back into play. Oliver. Hand passes to Petrarca, had a fumble. Coming through Viney. He gives it to Oliver. Hand passes backwards to Hunt from centre half forward. Low ball inside 50 and Melksham's got it on the lead.
Well, it's just a super kick out in front. Didn't need to drill it too hard. There was a lot of space on the fat side for Melksham to lead from. He literally came from out of the goal square, but it was just a game. He hasn't been able to get away with a lot tonight in Viney, but he just thought his way through the tackle, didn't cough it up too early, and was able to release really quickly.
Jake Melksham, this for goal number 4. Pushes it to the right for a minor. So Carlton leads 7-7-49 to Melbourne 6-7-43. 18 played, third term here on Grandstand AFL.
He's the main man up forward for the D's tonight, Melksham. Without him, they'd be struggling.
Adam Sard lashes it in from fullback for Carlton, out toward Cripps and Petrarca. Viney took it off their hands to Rivers, to Petrarca, darts it toward the 50. Here he is again, Berkey. Melksham out at 60 out from goal. High half forward right. What's he got inside the arc? The lead from Brown getting to the front, couldn't pull it in. O'Brien's in defensive 50 for the Blues, tumbles it around the body. Stocker got hands to it, couldn't collect it. Petrarca, little blind turn was clever. Melksham underground kick to Sparrow on the edge of the 50, to Petrarca bursting through. We normally know how this ends, not on that occasion. His kicks away to the right, it's a minor score. He just got rushed as he was closed down. 5 points the lead for Carlton, 19 gone, third term. It's a low scoring, but it's a pulsating clash here at the MCG.
Sard kicks short to Young in the pocket. Ben Brown stands the mark. Not a lot up ahead. So he'll just have to bomb it long. Hibbert's going to have a run at this and takes the mark in the end, almost uncontested. Pitternet with the late pressure, but Hibbert intercepts for the D's at left half forward. Melksham offers a lead. He kicks further afield, looking for Gawn, coming through with the fist as Marchbank sends it over the line for a throw-in 10 metres around from the Demons' goal in the left forward pocket.
Melksham's got a sniff now. He's leading and he's screaming. He wants every single ball inside 50 kicked to him.
He only kicked 4 or more on 3 occasions in his career. Jake Melksham, game number 205 this evening. Ball thrown back in. Pitternet reaches up, slaps it down. Spargo with a run at it for the D's. Handed it out to Melksham. He's in the thick of it again, tackled by Stocker, ball up. Blues by 5 points. 20 minutes gone, third term. Viney through the stoppage, throws a boot at it. Acrobatically tried to get it toward goal. Stocker's diving in there again for the Blues. He's endearing himself to the Carlton fans with some tough stuff. Viney's slow to get up.
He got hit pretty high there, Joel. Surprising it wasn't a free kick.
Jackson slaps it down to Pickett, who throws it on the boot, partially smothered. Nunes with a fist. That might be deliberate, and it is. Nunes had eyes only for the boundaries. He thumped it over the line, and it's a free kick going to Ben Brown in the pocket.
It's stiff. It hits the point post. If it goes a foot to the left, then they're probably going to call it deliberate from too far out, so get a free kick anyway.
So Ben Brown to regain the lead for Melbourne. Oh, he didn't make good connection with that. Sprays it across the face of goal. Ball still alive for Spargo. Gets boot to ball. Spills to the top of the square. Brown collects. Pirouettes. Misses.
How can a big fella do that, really?
Showed all of his agility there, but only for a minor. Brings Melbourne to within 4 as Sard brings it into the pocket to Young.
Sard with the overlap run. Loops around. Whacks it down the southern side. Long kick fisted toward the boundary line by Rivers. Over and out. Boundary side here on the broadcast side. Let's go downstairs to Lauren Borden.
Jack Silvani took himself off a little while ago to fix up that right shin guard. He's put about another roll of tape on it and then was just frustrated he couldn't get back on the field. Finally able to run all the way to the other side of the ground now.
Sprinting back over there now away from you downstairs, Loz. Setterfield at the contest, the laid in. No Adam Chera out there for Carlton tonight. Cripps down the line. Great mark, Mackay. Bodied up May like a basketballer with a post up on the low block. Mackay able to juggle the mark. Can he find his running mate in Charlie Curnow inside the 50? Leads up at it, can't take it. Motlop lurking at his feet, but it's out and over the line for a throw-in. Left forward pocket, Blues into attack. They've kicked the last 3 of the game. Melbourne with the recent opportunities not able to convert. Blues by 4 points, 22.5 gone third term.
Ball back into play. Cripps against Jackson. Spills to Jordan. He's tackled immediately. He's dived on top of it. Umpire says, I will have it. Ball up 40 metres out from the Blues goal.
Mackay needed to be quicker there. Identify, no lever, no May back there. Get it to a one-on-one that was deep in the forward goal square.
Rivers from the stoppage. It's a high ball. Oliver with the fist, and now it spills to Viney, who's got a bit of room to move it right half back. Hand passes to Rivers. Kicks down the line. Missed Melksham. Waiting out the back as Wiedering for Carlton. Sends it back to where it came from. Walsh sits underneath it. Jackson flies over the top of him. Reels in a brilliant mark at half back.
Showing his aerial ability, Luke Jackson. He's going to send it back the other way for the D's. Brown, arms outstretched, floats over his head. Saad there to collect at half-back. Chips laterally to Setterfield. Dow and Harms, the 2 subs for the respective sides, unused as yet. Setterfield down the line for Cripps, goes looking for Mackay again. May nudged him under it. Motlop came cruising past. He'll end up with the footy here, Jesse Motlop. Handball inboard to Durden. Neil Bullen gets a sniff. Durden wraps him up. What do they say? Umpire says it's okay. Ball spills to Brayshaw for the D's. He spirals a kick up the southern wing. Viney and Young collide and conspire to see it across the boundary line for a throw-in. Centre of the southern wing, Carlton 7-7, Melbourne 6-9. The stakes are high on Saturday night footy at the MCG on Grandstand AFL.
Jackson wrestles with Pitternet, who wins front position and slaps it down. Cripps overran it. Walsh on his hands and knees gives it to Pitternet, who hands it off to Stocker. Well, that's an ugly kick off the boot, but Durden was good enough to gather and then kick towards half forward. Salem fisted away from Owies. Over the line for a throw-in. 70 around from the Blues goal at left half forward. They lead by 4. 25 played third termer here on Grandstand AFL.
Got the last 3 shots on goal at the moment, Melbourne. Carlton need to generate something here inside their forward 50 from this stoppage.
Chris Johnson alongside Nathan Burke, your experts. After Carlton kicked 3 in a row earlier in the term, Stocker tumbles it inside the forward 50, past Mackay, hunts up to meet it for the D's. Blasts it back outside the defensive 50. On the hop, collected by Brayshaw. Handball inboard to Viney. He's got runners everywhere. Petrarca and Brayshaw present. Brayshaw's out wide, loops the kick over the top to Brown. Marks just inside the field of play. Plays on, goes to the pocket. Melksham dropped it. Wheels around, spins, snaps. Brilliant!
Oh, hang on, it's out of bounds. I think Ben Brown might have stepped out of bounds.
It's going to come all the way back to half-back where Ben Brown marked and then played on out of bounds.
Melksham's filthy. He wanted 4.
The late whistle, Jake Melksham thought he could book his 4th. It's going to come 70 metres out from the Melbourne goal. Ben Brown can't believe it. Melbourne can't believe it. And the Carlton fans...
I don't think he did a lot wrong, to be honest.
No, because he didn't actually go back from the man from his mark. He actually marked the ball and played on directly straight away.
A bit of drama here at the MCG as Walsh from half back just hacks it down the line and it's intercepted by Hunt of Melbourne, who marks on centre wing, southern side of the ground. Short chip inboard to Neil Bullen. From the centre square, loads up and kicks to the pocket out the back. Jackson, it spills to Oliver. Hand passes to Petrarca, outside of the boot. Thank you very much. Petrarca showing all his class and runs over to thank Oliver for the goal assist. Melbourne back in front. 7-9, 51 to Carlton, 7-7, 49. 27 played third term. Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Carlton have done an outstanding job the last probably 8 to 10 minutes. They've really been under the pump in their defensive area. They got the ball down the other end for a brief respite, but then it came all the way back, and in the end it took a little bit of brilliance from Oliver and Petrarca, both pushing forward, deep into their forward line. Oliver gets it, just never ever panics, always finds a teammate, and then Petrarca with a banana from not quite on the boundary line, from about 6-7 metres in, a banana straight through the middle. So great class from their two magnificent midfielders. But Carlton have been hanging in there. This is going to be a really important last 4 minutes. They really need to make sure that they don't let Melbourne score, and they go in at least level pegging at three-quarter time.
Carlton haven't scored since the 15-minute mark of this term. Melbourne have kicked 1 goal, 3 in that time, and you could argue should be further ahead. Back in the middle. The contest rolls on. It's been fierce around the footy all night. Viney chief among it. So too Cripps. And Stevic separates them and flings the ball into the night sky. Oliver down to Salem. Kick forward with courage. Marchbank ventured into the unknown, but it was taken away by Pickett. Now to Melksham. This time he might have his fourth. He squares it up to the top of the square. Wiedering's mucked it up. He ran into Stocker. Fritsch was let in for a moment. And then Stocker found the safety of the behind line to see it through for a rushed score. Nervous moments for Carlton. Melbourne's lead 3 points, 28 gone third term.
Yeah, you want to make Melbourne earn their goals. You don't want to have two players run into each other and drop the ball, give them an easy one. So a bit of a let off there by the Blues.
McGovern short to Wiedering in the back pocket. So this game has come alive in this third quarter. As Wiedering's kicked down the line. It's off hands. May at the fall of the ball. Hand passes to Brown, who hand passes out wide to Jordan from close up against the boundary line. Squeezes a kick around the corner into the pocket. Backing back with a flight of the ball and taking a brilliant mark is that man Melksham again.
He was actually laying on the ground, I think, when he marked this one.
He was.
Pretty much. He was falling backwards. The backside hit the ground. And when you're having a good night, those sort of things happen.
He's been very lively up forward. He has had a lot of opportunities.
Tied up in the pocket. He was denied a goal moments ago, but this one across the face. Melbourne 7-11-53, Carlton 7-7-49, 29 played third term.
Saad to bring it in. Jake Melksham is having some kind of evening. Career high of 5 goals, but this is about as impactful as you can imagine him being. Brayshaw takes it off the pack. He's been busy tonight as always. 27 disposals for the star Melbourne midfielder. And a ball up across half forward here for the D's. So 7 goals to half time combined between the two sides. And we've had 7 goals in this third term. As the spark's been lit under the contest, Melbourne lead by 4 points. Silvani punches it out of ruck. Lever and Cripps go crashing into each other on the wing. Martin comes up with it for the Blues. Petty knocks it away from Curnow as the kick went to half forward. Jordan got it back to May, drops it into the bucket. Wonderful vision, great execution. Kick finds Brayshaw in front of the Carlton interchange. And he's keen to take the air out of the footy before he sends it forward.
Kicks long towards half forward. Brown had a bit of work to do, couldn't get there in the end, and Young takes the intercepting mark for Carlton at right half back.
One thing Carlton hasn't done from a defensive mark is change direction a little. They just always come straight down the line. There's been no change of lanes. I think if they're wanting to win this game at the moment, they've got to try and shift the Melbourne defence because they're just setting up well. Too good for me down the line.
Young kicks to Setterfield, who drives it long down the line. Cripps did really well. Hand passes to Doherty and gives it off to Curnow. Has a bounce at right half forward. Kicks long, looking for Mackay. Just missed him. Bounces through for a minor score. Melbourne 7-11-53, Carlton 7-8-50. The margin is 3 points, 31 minutes played third term.
Didn't play that well, Curnow. He had Mackay running back to the goal square. He decided to take a bounce and just made Mackay run out of room. Should have kicked it earlier.
5 point margin in the Derby. Freo ahead 6-7 to 6-2. So it's close confines right across the eastern and western seaboards this evening. Earlier today, winners the Bulldogs by 5, the Crows by 29, the Cats by 60.
And it is Melbourne by 3 points, closing in on three-quarter time. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster with you on Grandstand AFL. Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke, your experts. Lauren Borden's on the boundary. Silvani and Gawn in ruck. Silvani knocks it down, but it's taken by Brayshaw. Kick slides out toward the boundary line. Doherty had the head ripped off by Jackson. No free kick. And then Jackson puts him in a headlock on the ground for good measure. Now that wasn't a free. I don't think anyone in the ground's quite sure. We'll have a ball up on the wing members' side.
Gawn just pushes Silvani out of the contest, gets boot to ball, picked up by Petrarca, a hand passes to Brayshaw. His kick smothered by McGovern, picked up by Silvani, who gives it to Setterfield. Gets boot to ball, sends it to half forward, Mackay in a one-on-one against May. Ball spills to ground, O'Brien slipped over, paddles it backwards to Fisher. His hand pass to space is picked up by Salem. Now Brayshaw has a go. Just a high kick around the corner, down the line. And it is sent over the line for a throw-in by McGovern. In front of the interchange gates and us here in the commentary position on the members' side of the wing. Melbourne by 3.
Handful of seconds left before three-quarter time. Bailey Fritsch kicked a goal to beat the half-time buzzer. Both sides would need a quick launch here. Setterfield might provide it for the Blues. Sends it to the edge of the arc. Mackay and Curnow crash across. Owies takes it at ground level. Tackled by Salem as time expires. A crucial intervention from Christian Salem. You'd think time would have beaten the Blues anyway. It was a bone rattler right on the bell of three-quarter time. An entertaining third term. The margins have been fine all night. Melbourne led by 8 points at the half. Carlton kicked 3 goals in a row to hit the front by 7 points in that quarter before the D's clawed their way back, and they lead by 3 points at three-quarter time. Melbourne 7-11-53 to Carlton 7-8-50 here on Grandstand AFL in what's been a real arm wrestle through three quarters of football. Goals for the Blues, 3 to Harry Mackay, 1 to Jack Silvani, 1 to Corey Durden, 1 to Jack Martin, 1 to Zach Fisher. For Melbourne, Jake Melksham has 3, Christian Petrarca, Max Gawn, Bailey Fritsch and Cozzy Pickett all have goals. We've got a streaker on the ground. The security's converging. He slipped over and he's run into the security. And that wasn't overly timely. That's what's brought the crowd to their feet. There's been plenty to bring them to their feet as well as far as the contest goes. And it is well and truly on here at three-quarter time. 3 points the spread. D's ahead. They're playing for a top 2 spot. The Blues are hoping to sew up a finals position. The stakes are high as we head into the final term. That's all on the other side of this. You're listening to Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
You know, you go to the footy and there's the pies and the beers, but here it's all rice and chicken. These people are not only fitness fans, but they're fitness fanatics themselves.
There's got to come a point where you draw a line in the sand. This has to be it. You can't do anything worse than this.
I mean, I'm a bush lawyer. Everyone's a bush lawyer on this.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the Listen app.
Know the story with ABC News Digital. Get the latest breaking news with live notifications whenever you want, wherever you are.
They are considering going to zero emissions.
We'll go ahead as planned.
And abruptly ended the case.
It will help us all get back to normal and back to all the things that we love.
Those are the kind of things that work.
There's hope for a brighter future.
ABC News, Australia's most trusted news source. Head to news.abc.net.au or download the ABC News app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Salem from the centre square just goes straight down the corridor to Gawn. Max Gawn, he's been a bit wobbly in front of goal. 11 goals, 13 this year from 45 directly in front. Makes no mistake this time. As O'Brien out wide, ignores that and instead decides to pump it long inside the arc. Fisted down to Silvani. Right place, right time, a goal.
So the fan favourite, Jack Silvani, onto the scoreboard. Oliver comes bursting out of the middle for Melbourne to send them inside forward 50. Long to the square, Wiedering punches it down. Roved by Melksham, who bangs it through for the instant reply and his third. He's kicked 2 goals, Harry Mackay, but his set shot routine has looked anything but fluid. What can he do from right on the arc? He launches it with the left boot. There's the finish for Big H. Petty takes it, almost tackled by Martin, slipped it and got the handball away to Hibbard, and then May's kick run down by Owies. Curnow takes it, centres it up, Durden slipped over, regained his footing, snaps, goals! And just like that, the Blues are back in front.
So Jack Martin directly in front for 3 in a row to the Blues. They've come alive at the MCG. To Neil Bullen from the centre square, loads up and kicks to the pocket out the back. Jackson, it spills to Oliver. Hand passes to Petrarca, outside of the boot. Thank you very much.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The sounds of the third term here at the MCG. The Jack Martin goal put Carlton 7 points to the good. Melbourne then kicked 1 goal 5 to close the term. Carlton with a late behind to add to their score and close the margin to 3 points as we turn for home. 7-11-53 to 7-8-50. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Great to have your company through Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and the Northern Territory. We're with you through until 10:30 Eastern tonight. 0437 774 774. The text line either now or in the aftermath. We'll dissect all the ramifications out of this big game this evening. Look ahead to footy tomorrow. Charlie's listening in a freezing cold paddock in Peterborough in South Australia, saying great call from you all. 0437 774 774. D's by 3 points. Entertaining third term. Game opened up a bit. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson. How have you seen it? What might we see here in the last?
Well, John, I'm not sure what we're going to see here in the last, to be totally honest.
Spot on.
I can't pick this because both teams are still scrappy. Melbourne only went 52% kicking efficiency for that quarter, which is low for them, but put a lot of that down to Carlton's great pressure around the ground. Again, we're not seeing superbly crafted goals. It's just not that sort of game. It's Silvani falling over and the ball coming to him and he snaps one through, and Melksham's laying on his back and the ball lands on his chest and he gets a goal. So you can't predict those sorts of things, but it's who makes the most of those opportunities. Accuracy in front of goal is going to play a big part in this last quarter. 15-9 clearances in favour of the Blues that quarter, so that's a big win for them, Jono.
Yeah, and the clearances at the moment, 19-15 in Carlton's favour, so they're really getting their way there in that third term, and they need to keep doing that. But the inside forward 50s evened up a little bit at the time, but I think it comes down to the smarter forwards or the forward connections they have with Melbourne Football Club.
Who wins?
Carlton by 2 points.
Melbourne by 18.
Righto, we've got one each way at the back of the box. We're going to stay out of it, Jess. Final term underway here at the MCG. 3 point spread as we go into it. We're smarter than that, you two. Viney rolls around under his left boot, sends the D's forward straight away, and a towering mark from Lewis Young. Proving a pillar back there for the Blues. Sends it out wide to Silvani. Knocked away from him by Lever. Almost back inside the arc. But Setterfield intervenes, and now Durden slips the tackle, shows them a clean pair of heels, sends it out wide, straight to Stephen May, who marks on halfway for Melbourne.
They're just rushing off half-back. They had numbers there around the source of the ball where they could have linked up 3 or 4 times to get over May.
May from the wing sends it to half-forward. Brown and Gawn are there. It spills out the back to Sard of Carlton. He hand passes backwards to Stocker, who chips looking for Walsh. He fell over, but Cottrell is there to gather. He chips it inboard to Young, who hands it off to Sard. Still inside defensive 50. Goes for a run and has a bounce. Has a second bounce. A trademark run from Adam Sard. Then he kicks out wide. Is a terrible one. Picked up by Melksham, who has a bounce on the wing. Drills it inside 50. His kick is a terrible one. Spills to Wiedering, who's locked up and tackled by a couple of Ds and forces a stoppage out of all of that.
Well, we've seen 3 players all fall over Berkey.
Mitch McGovern's new boots can't be any good, Jono.
There's a tripwire out there, I think.
I think the tripwires are coming from the roof to keep the birds away. They're not meant to be on the ground. They might have to refix them to the roof. As Patrick Cripps sockers it off the ground, Motlop comes spinning through, and the Derby Dockers by 13 points over the Eagles. About the biggest break that game's seen all night. It's been tight, tough stuff on this Saturday night, whether in Perth or here at the MCG. Blues bang it forward up toward Mackay on the wing. Langdon takes possession for the D's. Handball to Petty. Handball to Salem. Kicks to the edge of the arc. Brown. A little bit of a ruck tap in the end to try and keep it in play. Nunes there across to seek the safety of touch and does so. And we'll have a ball in. 65 out from the Melbourne goal. They kick to the City end here in this final term. Left half forward. 2 played. D's by 3.
Ball back in a play. Pitternet wins it down straight to Brayshaw of the D's. He jams it on the boot inside 50. Bounces past Brown. Picked up by Nunes. Just got boot to ball. Cottrell has some work to do. Ball ricochets inside the centre square. Coming through Fisher. And now Motlop is caught by Jordan. Holding the ball, says the umpire. Free kick to Melbourne at half forward.
Yeah, good tackle there by Jordan. I think if Motlop was able to get through that tackle, Carlton were away, and a certain inside forward 50 there.
Jordan's got it at half forward. Kicks laterally to Salem, who's marked inside the centre square. Had Lever short, ignored him. Instead just pumps it long to a dangerous position at the top of the square. Brown was underneath it. McGovern flies. It spills to ground. Setterfield's wrapped up in a tackle. And we've got a stoppage 10 metres out from goal.
Dangerous spot here for the Blues. They'll need to be on their toes defensively. Petrarca's lurking around the stoppage. Pitternet knocks it out of ruck. Fisher's over the top of it in the long sleeve white jumper. Blues in all white with the white monogram this evening. D's in their traditional navy shorts with the predominantly navy home strip here at the MCG. Brown and Pitternet renew acquaintances. Neil Bullen tries to slap it on. Sard takes it. Kick around the body. Through the hands of Setterfield. Taken by Neil Bullen. Wheels around on the right boot. Sends it goalward. It's away to the left. Bit too much hook on that. First score of the final term, a 9-1 to Melbourne. Margin 4 points through 4 minutes.
Carlton need to find a way to get it up the other end. Their defence are under the pump here, and you get the sense that just one mistake and it's a goal to Melbourne. They need to get some respite.
Govan, pinpoint kick out. Finds Curnow on the lead at left half back. Had to be perfect, and it was. So Curnow kicks long down the wing. Gone. It's a good mark against Cripps on the wing.
You've just got to keep it away from Gorn. You can't kick it long to where he is. Kick it long to where he's not, rather than to where he is.
A 6'10" bearded bloke, probably don't kick it to him.
Pitman needs to know that Curnow can't kick it 85 metres.
Not many can. Hibbard slams it to the edge of the 50 for the D's. Brown up in the pack. Blues take possession. Fisher. Short to Walsh. Enjoying another prolific season is the young vice-captain. Handball off to Fisher, low down to Setterfield. Made him earn his bickies there, high up around the body. Durden and Gawn, almost tallest and shortest on the ground, collide. Jordan goes to ground, Setterfield in over the top. Brayshaw's out the back waiting for it to come out. And then Cripps dumps him over the turf. In a fierce physical contest. We've seen plenty of them tonight. Ball will come spinning back in. D's by 4. 7-12 plays 7-8. 5 played final term. The Blues trying to lock up a final spot. The D's trying to boost their chances of a top 2 finish.
Over the back, Petrarca roves the stoppage, gives it to Pickett. And kick around the corner towards half forward. Thumped away from Brown. Young hand passes to Stocker. Now he hand passes to Walsh, who's caught by Pickett. Just got the hand pass away to Nunes. He can wheel it around and kick it out wide to Silvani, who's marked on the outer side wing. Chip short, Curnow offers a lead. It slips through his fingers. Out the back is Langdon.
Terrible.
Free kick going to Curnow.
That's not a free kick. That's just a good defensive effort by the defender then.
And he's blanketed Curnow tonight. Curnow kicks to the pocket. Mackay reaches over the top of May. Almost pulls it in. Then he's dragged down by Lever. Chris Donlan says, mine. Ball up inside forward 50 for Carlton. 4 points to spread. 6.5 gone. Inside the arc for the Blues. Gawn reaches up, slaps it down. Oliver's handball around the body to Petty. High left foot kick outside the defensive 50. Into the night sky it sails. Brown brings it to ground level. Fritsch took it. Handball to Nunes. Handball to the ruckman. Pitternet, not the best use of that golden rule, Berkey. As now Setterfield shrugs the tackle of Brayshaw, sends it high inside the arc, it gets out the back, the foot race is on, Martin leads it, can he get boot to ball? He's on the goal line!
He was legged.
He's played a trip.
He's been brought down in the goal square, Jack Martin, and it's a free kick to the Blues. He was racing back toward the goal line, he got brought down by the legs and tight in the right forward pocket, only a couple of metres out. He'll try and curl it around.
He's got players very close to him on the side. His umpire's being very lenient with the Melbourne.
Blues fans wait with bated breath, and Martin hooks them back in front. 2-point advantage to Carlton once more. They get the first of the last. 8-8-56 the Blues. 7-12-54 the D's. We've played 8 minutes in the final term.
Well, we said the teams are going to get goals in unusual ways. We didn't tip that the player's going to get tripped over on the edge of the goal square. That wasn't on my bingo card, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen for the rest of this game. It's just a really unpredictable game. It's ebbed and flowed. Teams, even though when you think they've had an advantage, they haven't really had a great advantage in terms of ball use and cutting a swathe through the other team. It's just been, it's been down their end scrappily for about a couple of extra minutes on the other end, and it's still anybody's game, this.
7 lead changes tonight by my count, as the Blues hit the front once more from the middle. Brayshaw hand passes to Gawn, who just spins out of trouble easily, thumps it on the boots. A high kick inside 50. Brown will have a run at this. Oh, almost could have completed the mark. Pickett has a go. Hand passes to Sparrow, who gives it back to Brown. Right foot step around the corner to the goal line. Langdon got boot to ball. That's a goal. Maybe.
Maybe.
So we're going to have a score review. Langdon off hands. Got boot to ball on the goal line. The question is, was he already over?
Umpires calls a goal by the look of that.
Yeah, if this is not a goal on
looking at the replay, it looks pretty easily that it's going to be awarded a goal.
Double your money tonight, you two. You're going to send in another invoice for the artwork.
Double bubble, they call it.
You can see from here, he was well inside the line.
Certainly a goal.
His foot did hit the goal post on the follow-through.
Is it that it hit the post? Is that what they're checking here, that it hit the post as opposed to being over the line? Doesn't matter.
No, it's a goal to Ed Langdon, and Melbourne strike back and they hit the lead once more. 8-12-60 lead Carlton, 8-8-56, 10 minutes played final term.
Well done to Melbourne. They've sort of lost their way in the clearances in the third quarter, and they've sort of got it back at the moment and started working it a little bit better in the middle of the ground in terms of their clearance. 6-2 at the moment, but then Gawn quite easily there could have just gave the handball back to Brayshaw, but he was smart enough just to weigh up the scenario and get it inside their forward 50. And then Ben Brown, the great contest in the air, then again followed his work up, hit it towards the goal square. There's no better way than actually putting your defence under the pressure, hitting the goal square and forcing him to defend, and that should have been just an easy spoil over the goal line for a behind.
Lead change number 8 of the evening. Doherty out of the middle for the Blues. Runs onto the tap from Pitterhead, sends it high, and it will be downfield. An arcing ball inside the forward 50.
Harry Mackay is nowhere near it. He's putting his hand up. It should be a Fisher kick.
Big H wants it.
He came from 20 metres away.
You know what that is, Jono? That is Nouse.
That is
forward Nouse from Harry Mackay, who darted in to get the free kick.
He just put his hand up and said, it's mine. And the umpire was like, yes. Hey, you have the ball, Harry.
Well, that was Clayton Oliver gave away that one. Just angry, wanted to do something stupid, and it's been dragged.
Kicked one from long range in the third. Mackay here in the last term sprays it out to the left, minor score. Margin back to 3. D's ahead. 11 gone, final term. Here at the MCG, Saturday night footy, Grandstand AFL.
And the reason he sprays it left all the time, he drops the ball outside of his left foot. It's quite easy to fix.
Salem from the kick in. He's turned it over though. Stocker can send it back inside 50 for the Blues to the pocket. Curnow! Oh, crunches the pack. The ball spills to ground. The players dive on. Gawn and May, who rips it out, gives it to Brayshaw. Fisher intercepts it, though. Gives it to Owies. His high kick. That's a rainmaker into the corridor. Fisted down by Petty. Setterfield lays a tackle. Might have given away the free, and he has. It's a free kick to Viney inside defensive 50.
Melbourne are spreading really quick here.
Viney can open things up. Goes to May inside the defensive 50. Unfortunately, he fell to his backside as he took the mark, so it's going to have to be held up.
That's the difference between both the teams at the moment. Melbourne just able to have a quick spread on that turnover.
May's kicked down the line. Marchbank sat under it. Petrarca did well, forced the 50-50, and then he ran into all kinds of trouble. Umpire says that's okay, Christian. We'll have a ball up in front of the Melbourne interchange. Goal apiece here in this final turn. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster with you on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke, Chris Johnson, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Zach Fisher at the stoppage. Punched on by Silvani. Through Walsh to O'Brien. An awful kick off the instep. And it's taken away by Hunt for the D's inside the defensive 50. Shoots it short to Viney.
Not good forward work there by the Blues. O'Brien got out, but they all led forward. Somebody just needed to be that bailout kick at the top of the goal square.
Viney, a lovely kick out wide, finds Brayshaw in front of the interchange gates. Just defensive side of the wing. We're on this broadcast side. Short chip forward to Salem. Got one hand to it. Couldn't complete the mark. Sard picks it up. Gives it to Durden, who hand passes to Doherty. And now he releases Fisher from half forward. Crosses 50. Sends it all the way home.
Petty's claimed he touched it.
Maybe. So we're going to have another goal review.
I reckon he touched this one. It just leapt up in the air, and
I'm with you, Berkey.
Well, there's a fuzzy. There's about 10 fingers on his hand, and the ball's in about 5 different sort of shades of yellow. But I reckon he got it.
It was a wonderful strike of the footy by Fisher, but looks like he will be denied.
Don't know how you can tell from the fuzzy ball and the fuzzy fingers, but the players are all setting up.
How quiet does the crowd go?
So, rushed behind to Carlton, and they move to within 2 points. Melbourne 8-12-60. Carlton 8-10-58. Nearly 15 minutes gone here in this final term.
I think we're 4 for 4 tonight up here.
Shooting at a perfect 100%. So the margins have been fine all night. There's been nothing splitting them. Maybe only a fingernail here or there, quite literally. Chance for Young after a long kick in for the D's. High ball inside the 50. May runs it down for Melbourne. Spikes it into the turf. Martin's there. Gang tackled by Neil Bullen and Brayshaw. And a ball up. Harry Petty's on the floor behind play. Charlie Curnow looking over him as if to say, what on earth are you doing there? As Silvani takes it out of the ruck. May around the body. Curnow brought it down. Free kick. Had to be a free kick. Clearly an infringement upon the Melbourne defender, who backpedals to try and milk a 50. Umpires having absolutely none of that. Matt Stevic's been around the block once or twice, Stephen. And the D's defender will take a free kick from inside the defensive goal square. He's side up by 2.
Under pressure a little bit at the moment, the Melbourne defence. So Carlton, they can get a repeat inside forward 50. They need the score.
May long to the wing. It's off hands. Walsh gets boot to ball. Sends it back inside 50. Fisted away from Curnow coming through Salem. Gives it to Brayshaw. Jams it on the boot to the wing. Fritsch against Sard. Fritsch had to turn defender. Spells it down to Pickett, who was caught by Sard. And now the Blues can reload and send it to half forward. Great mark by Walsh. It gives it to Owies from right half forward. Dirted in the pocket. It spills down to Martin, who can run towards goal, and he's got it through. Martin has 3, and the Blues are back in front. 9-10-64 lead Melbourne, 8-12-60. 16 played final term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke.
Well, just quickly, John, a couple of sensational efforts up the field. One, Sard with a wonderful tackle just a really game-saving tackle to win the footy back in the middle of the ground. And I think it was Sam Walsh running back with a flight of the ball, just pretty much plucked one hand out. Extremely courageous stuff. And that enabled the actual ball to get inside the forward 50 quickly and have a little bit more space than normal. So Martin ran on, and he's really looked lively. But Sam Walsh and Adam Sard, fantastic work.
We're going to, something's going on. There might be a blood rule here with Lever coming off, but again, I just spoke about the repeat inside forward 50s for Carlton, 7-9 in Carlton's favour. So they're actually putting this Melbourne defence under a bit of pressure, Berkey, that we haven't seen a lot of, because you've got Lever and May back there, Salem quite good, and Hibbert as well, a real structured defence. And at the moment, they are just forced to defend high balls coming in for their key forwards at the moment. So Carlton again, important clearance, keep the scoreboard pressure on.
Now the challenge in front of the D's. What can the reigning premiers muster? Back in the middle we go. Pitternet slaps it down. Oliver chases after it. Ripped out of there by Doherty. Jams it inside the 50. Martin went with one hand for the Blues. Kept it in front of himself. Almost got the handball to Curnow. Got run down. And then Curnow tackled Petty. Umpire says mine. It is fierce. The desperation is clear between these two sides. And now there's scuffles breaking out. Owies and Viney are into it. Among it all, it's going to be balled up inside the 50 for the Blues. Silvani takes it out of the ruck. He backpedals. He finds some space. He bounces a goal, but it's away to the right. Minor score. 5-point lead Carlton. 18 minutes played, final turn.
I think Viney was just trying to spark his team up there a little bit.
You've been a free kick to Silvani against Oliver. Oliver just whacked him in the solar plexus as he was running past. Umpire was right there. Undisciplined again, Burke. We've seen a couple of free kicks down the field being given against Oliver. So Silvani will get another opportunity here.
I think they're going to take it closer to goal. It's in the forward pocket, but it's close to the goal, and they're deciding to take that one.
So I think it'll be a downfield free, because Melbourne had the kick in. They chipped short to the pocket to Salem, so that's where the free kick will be taken. And Durden will take the free kick for the Blues. So a tougher angle than where Silvani was dealt with at the top of the 50. Durden from the pocket, outside of the boot, is missed to the near side. So Carlton's lead now out to one straight kick. 9-12-66 to Melbourne, 8-12-60 as we tick into time on to the final quarter here on Grandstand AFL.
You know there'll be something to come from Melbourne. They'll have a shot or two left. Can the Blues fire one or two of their own? Punch back toward the 50. Durden slides in. Oliver extracts it. Handball to Viney. Handball to Langdon. Got his kick away under pressure up the southern wing. A floating ball over the head of Marchbank. Sat nicely for Melksham. Things just breaking his way tonight. Then he got run down. Sard got a hold of him. Cottrell toe pokes it loose for the Blues. Handball wide. Comes from Setterfield. Now the run of Doherty. Whacks a high footy inside the 50. Mays across. Curnow brought it down. Petty's there as well. Charlie tries to get a boot to it inside the 50 for the Blues. Owies over the top of it. Hibbert wraps him up. And a ball up 40 metres out from the Carlton goal. They are piling the pressure on here, the Blues, up by 6 as we tick into time on in the last.
Just watch the replay of the Silvani Oliver incident. Not a lot in it.
Gone with the tap down. May couldn't go with it. It's picked up by Silvani on the impossible angle in the pocket. And we're going to have another score review. It's either a behind or out of bounds on the full.
Luckily, we've got the ARC specialists up here in the box with us, Jess, Chris Johnson, Nathan Burke.
I was actually just looking up from the checking the inside 50 stats.
Come on.
So
here you are saying you're 4 from 4 and you're happy with your work, and now you won't give us a... I mean, how anyone's meant to tell whether that's gone over the behind post or not, I'll never know.
Actually,
this is where you earn your money, boys.
I don't even know why it is going upsthere. The goal umpire...
What technology is there to help this?
Yeah, but the goal umpire is in perfect position there. Like, it wasn't, it wasn't like it was, a quick kick out of a stoppage. You could see Silvani, he was in perfect position to make the call.
So insufficient evidence is the call. It's the umpire's call.
I want the guy in the arc to turn and go, I've got no idea.
That's essentially what he's done there, I think.
And so I think they're going to rule it a behind.
Ooh, could be crucial in the end. Every point counts.
Very handy point. So a behind was the umpire's call. Insufficient evidence to turn it over. So a handy point to the Blues. They lead by 7, 9-13 to 8-12.
So Jack Silvani with a couple of opportunities. Great mark from the kick-in Jackson.
But Melbourne are going to need some individual brilliance here from somebody because they're just not cutting it as a team.
They've got plenty that can provide it. All stationary on the outer side. Rivers whacks it around the southern wing. Pitternet in from the side, brought it down. All fall in the way of the Blues at the moment. Young ran into trouble, took them on, holding the ball. Free kick. Jack Viney. He is a wall you do not want to run into. Handball's off to Rivers. Rivers with a step. Gets to 60. Kicks to the pocket. Ben Brown, the target! And he pulls it in! Looming like a beacon inside the arc. Brown's marked in the left forward pocket. 5 in from the boundary, 25 from home.
Just the 4 kicks, 2 handballs tonight, really been inconspicuous, hasn't done anything, just the one behind. This is the biggest possession he's had all night.
Ben Brown from the left forward pocket to make it a 1-point ball game. The Demons fans tell you the story. We're back to within a point, 23 into the final term. Carlton 9-13, Melbourne 9-12. We are going the distance here at the MCG. Before the thoughts of Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, let's go downstairs, Lauren Borden.
Jake Lever absolutely raring to go back on after that goal as well. He's got the head fully strapped with tape after the blood rule of the right eye, running straight back to fullback now.
I'm a bit like you, Berkey. When someone's having a shot at those far pockets, I watch one thing. I just lay my eyes on the goal umpire and see what he does. That goal umpire then did not move at all. It went straight over the umpire's hat. That was a superb kick. I know you said before, Berkey, he hasn't had a massive game tonight, but that, you're right, that is the most important kick he'll have tonight.
So is there a final twist in this tale of the MCG? Back in the middle, Cripps tries to emerge with the footy, can't do so. Jackson now has a go. Doherty into his back, but the umpire says, give it to me. Ball up on the edge of the centre circles. Quickly tossed in the air. Cripps tries to get boot to ball. Oliver picks it up. Now Jackson, Doherty again over the top of him, forces another ball up. We're still inside the centre circles.
Demons have got Brayshaw, Petrarca and Oliver.
Blues looking to make certain of a first finals berth since 2013 with a win tonight. Demons trying to move back into the top 2 with a victory of their own. 24 gone in the final term, just 1 point can split them the way of Carlton. But Cripps lays on top of the pack. Walsh extracts it for the Blues, kicks up toward half forward. Rivers, clever knock on, got it to Petrarca, but the Blues are in here. Martin rides the bump, shrugs the tackle, sends it inside the 50. May and Mackay in the wrestle. Curno's lurking out the back here for the Blues, kept it in front of himself. May paddles it along the ground. Rivers goes in. Now Jordan, he's dragged down.
Well done, Motlop.
Desperation from both teams, and a stoppage inside the arc for Carlton.
Motlop just had a double-up tackle then, just went from one to the other without even thinking about it.
Pitnet slaps it down, is picked up by Brayshaw. His hand pass misses Jordan over the line for a throw-in, 40 around from the Blues goal.
Spare thoughts for the Western Bulldogs supporters sitting at home as well. Their season hinges on this result as well.
Carlton by a point, 25 played, final term here on Grandstand AFL. Umpire spins the ball back into play. Pitnet in front position. Cripps goes without it. Was he tackled without it? The umpire says no. As the players dive on and force a stoppage. 30 out from the Blues goal.
Good decision. I think he overplayed that one and dived back with the arms out.
Blues fans aren't happy about it.
Pitternet wins it down in ruck. Brayshaw's handball frees up Rivers. Off a step outside the defensive 50. Out toward Wiedering. And Gawn. Wiedering controlled over the line. Gawn had a hold of his arm and it's going to be a free kick.
Yeah, let those ticky-touch-wood ones go.
So Jacob Wiedering between the wing and left half forward. 70 from home for the Blues. Sends it inside the arc. Mackay rumbles out from full forward and clunks it.
And now the challenge in front of Harry Mackay, the Coleman medalist, who has been less than certain in front of goal this evening.
He's presented well tonight. He hasn't stopped giving up and trying to work towards the front of the contest and just give it. At times, May's been in front of him, but he's still come in from behind and got to the front.
He stands up and takes the mark when his side needed him to. Harry Mackay's kick is swinging back. It's slapped through by Petty. 2 points the spread. 9-14 to 9-12. Not an inch to separate these two. We are 26 and a half in the last.
May brings the ball in for the Demons with a thumping kick to the outer side wing. It's off hands. First there is Pickett, and he collects. His hand pass, though, couldn't find Langdon. Is picked off by Cottrell. Under pressure with the kick towards half forward. Curnow, though, marks in front of Petty. 2 kicks from goal. Oh, no, he's kicked it straight into Petrarca, who sends it back down the line towards Brown in a one-on-one against Young, who kills the contest over the line for a boundary throw-in, centre wing position in front of the Shane Warne stand.
Well done, Young. Big contest there. Had to get that ball and kill that ball because Ben Brown marks that. The Demons had 3 players streaming back in their forward 50.
Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke, your experts on Grandstand AFL. Joel Peterson and Jess Webster calling it for you. Gawn controls it down in ruck. Cripps is there for the Blues. Doherty's handball out wide, releases the run of Cottrell. Sends Carlton up the southern wing. Petty's up to meet it. Curnow's draped all over him. Not going anywhere. Ball up. Half forward for the Blues.
I've loved Cottrell's game tonight. 18 possessions tonight, 7 of those contested, and he's been able to lay a few tackles.
Carlton by a point at quarter time. Melbourne by 8 at the half. Melbourne by 3 at three-quarter time. It's been goal for goal throughout. And as we stand, 28 minutes into the last term, it's the Blues by 2. Ball across half forward here for Carlton. Durden wheels away from the stoppage. Kicks inside the 50 to Charlie Curnow. Falling to the turf, 30 out from home. He hasn't had many of these opportunities tonight, the Coleman medal leader. And now 35 out, he can stick one through and make it very difficult for the D's.
We talk a lot about Brayshaw, Oliver, Petrarca and Viney inside, but tonight, Doherty, Walsh and Cripps, they've had their measure. They've done extremely well with the clearances.
61 on the season for Charlie. None more important than this. He's mobbed by teammates as he jams it through at the punt road end. And Carlton leads by 8 points over the reigning premiers. 29 minutes into the last. 10-14, 74 to Melbourne 9-12, 66. They're giving them all they can handle.
Well, it's just over 3 minutes ago. This centre clearance is most important for Carlton. This next 3 minutes, they'll need to just keep playing the brand of football that they've played throughout this night. They've been able to be aggressive. They've been able to lay tackles. They've been able to hand the ball in when it's a 50-50 contest. They're doing a great job, and nothing should change now in the next 3 minutes or so as they have this lead out to 8 points.
55,705 fans into the stands this evening. What have the defending Premier got as Viney from the middle sends it inside 50. Petrarca is there. He hand passes to Brown. Throws it on the boot towards the goal line. And it misses to the near side. Carlton 10-14, 74. Melbourne 9-13, 67. The margin is 7. Half an hour gone. Final term.
They need to organise themselves real quickly, Carlton here.
In the Derby, the Dockers by 17 points. Doing the D's no favours. McGovern brings it in from fullback for Carlton, out to the members' side. Mackay with one hand, brings it down to the front of the pack. Jordan dives on top of it. O'Brien over the top of him, ball up.
So D's lose this. It's potentially down to 6th with a trip to Brisbane next week.
Tough sledding for the D's in the run home. Brayshaw at the stoppage, jams it inside the 50. Young almost left it behind. Brown there was quick to apply pressure. Neil Bullen came cruising past. Right on the boundary line. Kicked it straight into Ben Brown as he was falling out of play. And we'll have a throw in. 35 around from the Melbourne goal. City end of the MCG. 31 minutes played in the final term. Carlton leads by 7.
There's still time on the clock. They can do it. It's the ball back into play inside 50 for the D's. Wiedering just hacks it out of there. It's intercepted by Gawn from 55 out. He sends it to the top of the square. Oh! Melksham!
Who else?
He's taken the mark at the top of the square. Can boot through his 4th. It's a 50-metre penalty. It won't matter. Melksham bangs home his 4th. Melbourne are within a point. Carlton 10-14-74. Melbourne 10-13-73. 32 minutes played final term. There's still time on the clock. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson.
Well, it's the clearance. The clearance out of that last goal from Curnow's goal, they just willed themselves on the contest there. But I did see from that stoppage there, Berkey, that Melbourne just had numbers sitting outside of the defensive 50 and they pressured Carlton in that stoppage to actually just put it on the boot. They didn't clear it. They actually just rubbered it forward. Max Gawn was sitting back there. Salem was sitting back there. Hibberd was sitting back there. So it was always going to get into a deep inside forward 50. Another important centre bounce here.
55,705 Demons and Blue supporters jammed into the MCG, and they're all rising to the moment, hoping their side can do the same. Setterfield with a clearing handball at the stoppage. Hunt will send it back the other way for Melbourne. Finds Viney at centre-half forward. Jack Viney plays on inside the 50. Almost the mark in defence for the Blues. Dropping it at the critical moment. Nunes had a good hold of that. He just spent it before he had it. The pressure closed in from Melbourne. Will have a ball up. 30 out from the D's goal. Gawn backhands it to Oliver. Tackled by Marchbank. Couple of Goulburn Valley boys going hard at the footy. Now Petrarca has a chance. He scrambles it outside the defensive 50. Finds the safety of Charlie Curnow at half-back.
Has Mackay all alone on the wing and goes to him. Marks in front of the interchange gates. Wants to waste some time off the clock, so he kicks backwards to Owies. He wants to kick backwards to Saad. He doesn't make the distance.
He's actually injured, Jess. He's trying to get off the ground.
He's got a bit of cramp. Saad has time, though, to send it towards half forward to a pack. It's off hands. Brayshaw gives it to Hunt. There's one last roll of the dice for Melbourne. He kicks towards half forward. Two Blues spoil each other, but they eventually find the safety of the boundary line. Throw in between wing and half forward. Melbourne's attacking half of the ground. It's Carlton by a point here on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Lewis Young headed it over the boundary line.
A spoil by backside and a spoil by forehead tonight.
Clearance could decide the game.
Gawn wins it down. Oliver, Petrarca, hammering the ball as he was chiselling away at some stone as it was pinned to him by Doherty. And we'll have another ball up, just forward of centre for Melbourne. Gawn fists it forward, slapped back the other way by O'Brien. Bouncing ball for Lever, steps through the traffic, hooks it into the corridor. Dangerous kick through Motlop. May rushes in, and now sprinting clear is Hunt. Sends it inside forward 50 for Melbourne. Ben Brown in the pack, can't take the mark, goes to ground. Melksham's there, Pickett emerges, stabs, goals!
Goal! Oh no!
Pickett makes anything look possible. And where Melbourne are just about run out of hope, Cozzy Pickett inspires them in the dying moments. And the D's are ahead by 5. And they might have pulled one out of the fire. 11-13-79 to Carlton 10-14-74. It is breathless at the MCG.
Well, that's been their problem all night, Carlton. They just haven't been able to kill or defend a long ball inside forward 50 quite easily there. You've seen Lewis Young go up for the ball, and he actually brings the ball back in the corridor. Right there, time on the clock and everything else. You need to get that ball as wide as possible.
Everything has to go Carlton's way. They must win this clearance from the middle. Gawn with the tap down. Setterfield with the clearance. Bounces it towards half forward. Fisher tries to paddle it on. Salem is in there. The ball spills out to the wing. It's an instant classic at the G. The game of inches. 10 lead changes. The Blues up by a point at quarter time. Melbourne by 8 at the half. By 3 at three-quarter time. The margin never blew beyond 11 points. Melbourne win by 5. Carlton's season on the brink. The Demons win 11-13-79 to the Blues 10-14-74.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Contrasting scenes of delight and desolation out there. Mark Pitnet stood after the siren, stationary in the centre of the ground, hardly able to see what he could believe. As he walks to join his Carlton teammates, there's a sense of disbelief among them. So too Melbourne. Cozzy Pickett with some magic at the top of the goal square. If you can believe it, in the 35th minute of the final quarter. Almost like a stoppage goal in time on in the second half of a round ball game. And Melbourne move into the top 2 in the AFL with a heart-stopping 5-point victory, 11-13-79 to 10-14-74. Melksham with 4 for Melbourne, the hero at one end. Mackay and Martin with 3. Jack Martin with 2 in the final term. And as Jess Webster said, Carlton's season is left hanging in the balance. They've got Collingwood here next week, and it's only so fitting that it comes down to a clash with their arch rival to maybe decide whether the Blues make it through to finals in season 2022 or not. For Melbourne, it's a date with Brisbane at the Gabba as they press for the double chance. Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson are with you. We've got about another 20 minutes. 0437 774 774. Let us know where you're listening from and exactly what you made of that. We'll give you and Burkey first crack. Jono and Nathan Burke.
Oh, that was an intense game, that one. It certainly wasn't a game where you go and pick out the highlights and say, look, this is AFL football at its finest. Skill-wise, from start to finish, both teams just had a crack. And that probably sums up the whole game, really. They just both had a crack. And whoever was in front when the final siren goes away the winner. And that might sound obvious, but it could have been any one of these sides that won this actual game. Carlton be really, really disappointed because the last 2 goals they gave up was just a bomb from Max Gawn to the top of the goal square where Melksham outmarked 3 Carlton players and put it through. And then the next bomb to the top of the goal square, it was Melksham again on the bottom of the pack who just fed the ball out to Cozzy Pickett coming past. Nunes had his jumper, pulled him backwards, he was falling backwards, but just had enough to get the ball over the line by about 2 feet, and that's all it took in the end. So never say die by Melbourne, never say die by Carlton, but you just can't afford to give up goals at the top of the goal square, and it just killed Carlton in the end. And boy, what a huge game it's going to be next week against Collingwood. And I can tell you right at the moment there's about 50,000 Western Bulldogs members that are absolutely going to town in their living rooms at the moment listening to that because it keeps their season alive as well. So what an unbelievable finish we got to the season next week.
Well, we didn't get much in the first quarter. It was a bit of a slow, boring old game, and there wasn't a lot in it in the second term. It was mainly the third term that really brought the game alive. But I reckon Michael Voss and his team walk away from this. Obviously, they got one more game this year. Whether they go in the finals or not will be a few decisions go their way. But what I do know is that they will go away thinking that matched it with the premiers that are in reasonable form, not great form, but in reasonable form. And they'll be saying to each other, we're going in the right direction. If next week's our last game, so be it. Let's get out and make sure that we try and give this contest. The contest that they go tonight, Carlton, they need to give that every week next year. And we know what they can do in terms of their ball movement and everything else. But tonight I've seen something from them, Berkey, that was ability just to scrap in the contest. And whether it was in the middle of the ground, whether it was out wide on the wings, or whether it was in their forward line. But a big issue they have at the moment is their back seven. Their back seven, how do they defend with high, long balls coming in? You've got Wiedering that can deal with the ball quite easily. I think Lewis Young has a little bit of work to do. I think they need to add one more defender in there as a tool to be able to do that. But they'll go away and they'll take a lot away from that. But certainly for Melbourne, their whole midfield and their defence and their forward line, they just don't give up. They don't give up. So many teams can get challenged like that from an opposition like Carlton did, and they just put their hands up and they give up. But I thought tonight, Melbourne done very, very well to keep themselves in the contest at various stages of Carlton keep coming in. Carlton brought the game. They brought the heat. They brought the tackling pressure, 87-74, so in favour of Carlton. So they really brought that. The inside forward 50s were all heavily weighed in Melbourne's direction, plus 10, 58-48. So, look, I think we've seen a great game tonight. Even though the first half wasn't sensational as a spectacle, it was the pressure of a finals, but it wasn't the ball movement of a finals. But the last half, I was on the edge of my seat. I just loved the game tonight. It was fantastic. Hats off to both of these teams, but there's always got to be one winner.
It was a bit of a hard stopper. So the Demons get the job done in an absolute thriller. 5 points, 11-13-79 to 10-14-74. 0437 774 774 for your reaction. We'll head into the Melbourne rooms with Lauren Borden. They're just queuing up at the top of the race at the moment. In the Derby, it's the Dockers, an inaccurate Fremantle, have really taken control in the second half. 8-17-65 to West Coast, 6-5-41. And time's ticking down in the final term over at Perth Stadium. And Melbourne's win will put them into the top two. Carlton clawing on to a finals position. They looked like they had that sewn up. The Charlie Curnow goal late. And then it was Ben Brown and Cozzy Pickett with goals from close range. And the crowd, all 55,705 of them, whether you were a Melbourne fan or a Carlton fan, were all on the edge of their seats in those final stages. Robin Maidstone says, I was sitting on the tram at Jollymont when Cozzy kicked it. I had to leave. I couldn't handle the tension. You beauty. Can the mighty D's. Good on you, Rob. That's a lovely text. 0437 774 774. As the Demons filter into the rooms, they move along to 15-6 on their season, with a date with Brisbane to come next week. They'll be very happy indeed. Soaking up all the atmosphere in the rooms for us on Grandstand AFL is Lauren Borden. Loz.
Max Gorn was the one that led them in, was the first one to give out a whoop of celebration as well. Now all the players are doing it, clapping all around completely. So a small group of family and friends have come in, and they're making a little bit of noise as well. But the Melbourne Demons just want to sing their song.
Loz, you've been working the season with us in season 2022 in AFL. Have you seen a team huddle up and sing the song quicker than that? They were straight into it.
Oh, absolutely. That is the quickest I've ever seen it. They wanted to go straight in there and sing it. Didn't wait for everyone. Everyone was obviously bunched together as they were coming through. Gon got them straight in. Everyone was pretty keen to go in and sing it straight away. And now they'll head into their meeting, as they normally do, straight in. Simon Goodwin's already in there to meet them in there. He walked straight in as they were singing the song. So we'll see if we can get a player after that to bring you some reaction.
Give them the hurry up, Loz. We've got 13 minutes. We know that you'll do your best down there for us on Grandstand AFL. Some reaction from the Demons rooms, if we can squeeze it in the next 13 minutes. So 0437 774 774 for your reaction on the text line. Melbourne 5-point winners over Carlton in the Derby. It is Fremantle by 18 points. Jake Melksham's game tonight, quite extraordinary, isn't it? We know that he's had a topsy-turvy season in terms of the on-field indiscretion, or the off-field indiscretion with with Stephen May. He hasn't played a hell of a lot of football for the D's, just his 8th game of the season tonight. Berkey said it during the call, Jono, when things are going your way, they're going your way. It was one of those nights for Melksham tonight.
It was, and he had an opportunity to kick not just 4 goals, but he had a chance to kick 6 goals tonight, and 2 of those other goals that he missed were quite kickable goals, and probably just didn't think his way through it as what he liked. I seen him play a few weeks ago up in Alice Springs, and I seen some stuff from him that day that wasn't Jake Melksham-like, or I hadn't seen him do it for a long time since he come across from Essendon, and it was all about team stuff. He done a couple of chase downs. He then got rewarded with a couple of goals as well, and some hard tackles inside his forward 50 as well. And I thought, this is a kid that's probably wants to turn things around. He probably knows he's at the back end of his career, but certainly he was able to, I think, since then, he's been able to sort of cement himself back in this side. But 4 goals, 1 in each quarter, was sensational from him. But a big turnaround. He's only managed the 6 games 7 games this season. So that's for him. I think those 7 games were the last 3 or 4 games. He's been able to cement himself in this side, and I reckon he's got his position, and he's held his position coming in the finals.
It's a pretty impressive effort to turn his season around the way he has. A goal in each quarter tonight, a couple of outstanding marks. And Harry Mackay, Berkey, we spoke about, and you spoke about in the pre-game, that the pressure was going to need to be up from Carlton. He got his first goal through a chase-down tackle. Jono said during the call he presented up really strongly throughout. His set shot kicking still looks a little bit broken, the Coleman medalist of last season, but when his work rate's been questioned over probably the last 6 or 7 weeks, that wasn't in question tonight from the big forward.
No, I thought he was their pick of their forward. I thought Petty did a really good job on Curnow. Curnow kicked a 1-goal 4 in the end. Had 5 shots at it, but I thought Petty probably took the honours in that one. So they needed somebody else to stand up, and he was the man. So I like him getting further up the ground as well, and running back a couple of times there. He ran back really hard inside 50, but Carlton just missed him. Carlton's kicking tonight was pretty atrocious. I think they went at 53% overall. Against the good teams, they need to clean that up, because the good teams will hurt them if they kick the ball like that. So, Mackay was really good.
Sam Doherty cleaned his kicking up. He was 1 of 10 to start. He ended up with 41% from 17 kicks. Sam Walsh just hit 1 target from his 9 kicks, which gives you a bit of an indication on how they were travelling by foot. I think there's just still a few players in that. I mean, Carlton have been a great side. They've been a high-octane side to watch this season. There's a few players in that team that are in the bottom end that probably don't get us game in a side that's contending for a premiership. And whether that comes through the draft, whether that comes through the likes of Carl Amon, who's been linked with them coming across from Port Adelaide to take one of those wing spots, but whether it's an O'Brien, whether it's a Nunes, whether it's these kind of guys who are right on the fringes for the Blues, I think that's where their next level comes, because their cream of the crop is as good as anyone in the competition. It's that the bottom 5 we so often speak about where Carlton seems to be lacking.
I think it comes back to their defence. I reckon you need somebody. What they lack today is what you just spoke about, Doherty, out of that half-back line at delivering the ball. He played in the midfield tonight, and he wasn't able to deliver that ball as well as what he would have liked to. If you've got that ball in the hands of Saad, every time it comes out, you're going to get that ball inside forward 50. He makes good decisions. He runs and carries the ball. He forces you to defend as well. I think they need another small like a Saad that can make good decisions with ball in hand, and they need another tall back there. I think that's what they need to add to their mix of teams. Whether there's someone coming through the ranks, I'm not 100% sure, but you're right. They are just, at the moment, there's 1 or 2 blokes short to actually elevate them to the next level.
Of course, they had Oscar McDonald with the back injury. They took Sam Durden in the mid-season draft, and then he got injured in his first game, so they've tried to replenish some of those tall stocks. Carlton, they'll probably get compensated for Liam Jones, who looks like he'll go back to the Dogs, so maybe an extra draft pick in there somewhere around the mark, but they do need to beef up in that area.
Berkey, I want to ask you, Harms, where's the fight? He's been subbed the last 2 to 3 weeks now. So where does he sort of sit within this team as well? Like he was sitting there and he wasn't able to get on last week and the week before, and still wasn't able to get on tonight as well at the same time. So there's still another injection there for Melbourne to inject into their side at the same time.
And we know that he can be a very important player. Another important player, another man who injected him into the self in the into the game right at the right time was Cozzy Pickett tonight. We know what a live wire he is. He is one of the best players to watch in the competition, and he's downstairs on Grandstand AFL with Lauren Borden. Loz.
He sure is the man in the moment. I mean, Cozzy, can you just take me through what's going through your mind? 11 seconds to go, you've got the ball in hand. What are you thinking at that moment in time?
To be honest, I didn't know really. I just wanted to kick the goal. Hopefully, I just kicked it and hope for the best. And yeah, I just wanted to win, and we all wanted to win. And yeah, it's just good to be back on the winning list.
You did hope for the best and it did go through. I mean, can you take us through just seconds before that? You've kind of got minutes before that. You've got Charlie Curnow's kicked a goal to put you guys 7 points behind. Melksham then puts you ahead. How stressed are you in this moment? What's the team like in these final seconds and minutes, and how do you push through?
Well, when Curnow kicked that goal, all us forwards, we were pretty calm. You can see if you get the camera from behind the goal, we were all pretty calm. We were all talking. We did our win the game play, and yeah, I guess we just, it worked out for us in the right way.
It did, and Simon Goodwin just took you in for a meeting. We could see there was a little bit of clapping going on. Can you take us through what was said then?
Goody, he was just very, very proud of us and excited. Yeah, it was just really proud to be back on the winning list, as all of us.
He does seem like a very calm, cool, collected character on the bench. What's he like when he comes into the huddle? He kind of held you in at three-quarter time just to send an extra message and spend an extra minute with you. What's he like at the breaks?
Well, I think he tries to be as calm as possible, to be honest. Yeah, he just talks us through everything, be as calm as possible, and yeah, he just wants us to win.
I'll pass you upstairs now, Cozzy Pickett, to get some further questions from our experts, Chris Johnson and Nathan Burke.
Cozzy, Nathan Burke here, mate. Well done, fantastic. Now, you've played finals last year, and was that about as close as a finals game as you get in a home and away season? Because the pressure looked immense.
Yeah, of course it is. The last few games we've had, it's been pretty close, and yeah, it's just like finals. But yeah, we're just keen to be back winning.
Did you guys understand the repercussions? If you lose that, you could slide down as far as 6th, and if you win, you could stay in that top 2. Was that spoken about?
Yeah, it definitely was, but yeah, we just wanted to play our role and be as calm as possible if the game was close, and yeah, we were able to execute in the last minutes, and yeah.
Cozzy, Jono here, brother. Look, fantastic finish to the game, and you had us on the edge of the seats all the way. Would have been good for us to see Jakey Melksham pop up and kick 4 goals tonight. He's been working pretty hard to stay in the side.
Of course. It's always good to see someone that comes in the side and does his job, and yeah, for him to get reward for all his hard work, yeah, it's unbelievable. We love seeing him play, and yeah, we're all just happy as a team.
And Angus Brayshaw, brother, he's just stepped himself. He's been playing half-back the majority of his career. Now he's just injected himself in the midfield. Gus, he'd be talking a fair bit about tonight, wouldn't he, with the 38 disposals?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he can play anywhere. We got a lot of players that can play anywhere. So, yeah, for him to just back himself in and go back in the midfield, yeah, it's just unreal.
Cozzy Pickett with us in the Melbourne rooms after his last gasp winner for the D's. Cozzy, one more before we let you go if we can.
Yep.
Did you always feel there was a confidence within the group that even when Carlton hit the front late that you'd have an answer to them? Have you developed that confidence and belief in the group to know that you'll have a response when it's needed?
Well, during the week we trained it. So, yeah, for us to execute in a big game like that, yeah, it just shows all the hard work we did during the week and during the pre-season. So, yeah, it's just unreal to get the reward for it.
And you're in the top 2. It's a good position to be in heading into the last round of the season.
Exactly right.
Cozzy, congratulations. What a moment for yourself. The game winner at the MCG in front of 55,000. Go and soak it up and enjoy it with your teammates.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
Cozzy Pickett, one of the great entertainers in the game. And it was a wonderful last gasp goal that sealed victory for Melbourne by 5 points. Final score in the Derby over in Perth. 9 goals, 17-71 Fremantle to West Coast 7-5-47. So the Dockers close in on the top few as well. They move to 58 premiership points into 5th. Of course, their draw with Richmond earlier in the season. So Geelong top of the pop, 68 points. Melbourne with 60. Brisbane with 60. Collingwood yet to play this round with 60. Fremantle with 58 have played. Sydney with 56 premiership points play tomorrow against Collingwood. Carlton have played with 48. Richmond in 8th have 46. They've got a game in hand over the Blues. And then the Western Bulldogs and St Kilda are a game outside and lurking, especially the Dogs, with intent. They take on the Hawks next week, Carlton, to face Collingwood here at the MCG in what looms as a bit of a win and you're in game for the Blues on Sunday afternoon football. The votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year, Nathan Burke?
Yeah, I think I've got those. Start at the top. 3 votes, Melksham, 4 goals, 10 score involvements. 2 votes for Andy Brayshaw, 38 possessions. I think he had 12 clearances and 2 score involvements. One could have gone to quite a few people. I've actually gone for Cripps for that one vote. Primarily, he had 26 possessions, but he had 10 clearances, he had 12 tackles and 6 score involvements. So it was a really complete game by the skipper there for the Blues. So Cripps 1, Brayshaw 2, Melksham 3.
And he was one where they weren't delivering the ball well by foot. And that's not necessarily Patrick Cripps' go-to, Jono, but he was one who was able to hit targets and generate some movement forward for the Blues.
He was just a smart user of the ball by hand and by foot as well. And look, I think the more times that you don't have to rely on him within Carlton, and you have the likes of Doherty and Welsh and even Setterfield for that matter stepping up. He done an okay role as well with an Oliver. Oliver with the 29 positions, and the same with Setterfield. He had 26. So he actually probably had an equal balance, but, Oliver's going to use the ball a little bit better than him, but certainly Cripps was a good user of the ball going forward.
A great text coming through on the SMS line. Alex has messaged in, my 11-year-old son is a Demon supporter and he's at the MCG tonight witnessing his first game, and what a match. His favourite player, Cozzy, brought it home. I can only imagine how excited he is. I was listening on the radio, screaming my head off. That's a lovely text to end the night, I would say. Big day of footy to come tomorrow. MCG, Richmond and Hawthorn to kick things off after Sunday Grandstand AFL with Corbin Middlemass. And then the big game at the SCG, Sydney and Collingwood. It's now 6 versus 4th. The Pies can go back into the top 2 with a win. And then we finish things off. You'll be there with us tomorrow afternoon, Jono, at Docklands, Essendon and Port Adelaide to finish things off this afternoon. Thanks to Jess Webster, to Chris Johnson, to Nathan Burke, to Lauren Borden downstairs, and to Jules McKenzie pushing the buttons here, to Adam Jones back in the studio. A great Saturday of football. What an absolute heartstopper it was at the MCG. Melbourne by 5 points, a famous finish. In the words of Jess Webster, an instant classic at the G. 11-13-79 to 10-14-74. The D's win. They're back in the top 2. Enjoy it, D's fans.
ABC Reading Eggs helps Aussie kids, just like me, learn to read. Developed by Australian educators, this award-winning program is perfect for ages 2 to 13. There's guided lessons, fun games and activities, and exciting rewards too. ABC Reading Eggs makes learning fun.
Start your free 30-day trial now at readingeggs.com.au/ABC.
ABC Sport, your home of rugby.
Brett Mullins was simply one of the most exciting rugby league players we've ever seen. He could do remarkable things on the footy field, things that no one else could. He ended up playing more than 200 NRL games, predominantly for Canberra, and he scored 105 tries for the Green Machine before one last season for the Sydney Roosters. And I want to speak with Brett Mullins today primarily about the 1996 State of Origin series. Not only did New South Wales win the series 3-0, but it was the one and only time the Blues fielded the same 17 players in the same position for all 3 games. Brett was on the wing for the Blues. He scored 3 tries. In 1994, when he debuted in State of Origin, he scored again as the Blues won games 2 and 3, the only 2 Brett appeared in. And he also played for New South Wales in 2 Super League Origin games, don't mention the war, where he scored 3 tries. This bloke loved coming up against the colour maroon. Brett also played 5 tests on the 1994 Kangaroo Tour and scored 5 tries. Of course he did. Unbeaten too in State of Origin. Brett Mullins, welcome back to Grandstand Rugby League. How are you, mate?
I'm great, mate. Thanks very much for having me.
No worries. I go through those details and just looking back at some of your achievements on the rep scene, it is extraordinary.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to play in a great side going through Origin, as you said before. I'd never been beaten one, so I don't know what it's like to lose to the Queenslanders.
That's unreal, especially bearing in mind the time they went through not long after you stopped playing. You're a thrilling attacking player, fullback or winger. Is there anyone in the modern game who reminds you of you?
Look, they're all too big now, so there's no skinny fellas running around anymore. So not really.
Mate, that wouldn't last.
That's right.
Every winger's like a back rower, second rower.
Exactly, mate. Look, if I was a winger these days, I wouldn't be doing half the things they're doing. So, especially taking all those sit-ups. That wasn't my game, mate.
What about fullback, though? You're a great fullback. And that we've been blessed since well before you started playing, and especially in the modern day, with some just incredible fullbacks.
Well, that's right, mate, and they just keep reproducing as well, mate. So it's great. It was a great position. You could kind of run your own game. You could slot into the line wherever you wanted to. So I really enjoyed playing back there.
You must have a reaction, Brett, to the retirement announcement on Wednesday by the great Ray Rabbits Warren, because his calls of some of your biggest moments go down in folklore, particularly that famous game against Newcastle, which I imagine probably did more for your profile than anything most of the other things you achieved.
Well, that's correct, mate. Some of those tries within his commentary kind of just boosted the level of them. So, yeah, I've got to thank Rabs for those. But he's going to be sadly missed as the voice of rugby league, so it's going to be strange without hearing, Rabs on the radio.
Well, going back to the start of Origin and to when it really became a big thing with the series, and Darryl Eastlake was the voice of Origin, and with his exuberance for it, and Ray Warren, of course, the greatest TV caller there's ever been. So it is a very, very big loss. And for you players as well, I know speaking to Steve Renoff a year or two ago about his grand final intercept try, and he was quoting the Ray Rabbits Warren call of it.
Yeah, that's correct. Raz has had some great moments, hasn't he?
Now, look, I've no idea whether you played as much for New South Wales as you would have liked to, but your record against Queensland is just unreal. And before we get to the 96 series, as I mentioned, you debuted in 94, coming in on the wing for games 2 and 3 after the Blues dropped the opener. You scored in the series-deciding win. How big was that in your career to come into the series and have it turn around like it did?
Well, yeah, I was very disappointed I didn't get picked in the first game, to be honest, but I was lucky enough to get picked in the last two. First game I ever played was in Melbourne in front of 90-odd thousand, so that was very exciting and scary at the same time. But to get those two victories, it was, no surprise, really, when I come into the Origin camp and saw the side we had. We were very confident of what we could do.
Yes, that was well before Stadium Australia. That must have been incredible going out in that game with that crowd.
It was, mate. The whole place shook. So, it was very overwhelming, to be honest. But I just wanted the game to start so